Break out the champagne. The Giants have won 5 in a row. The Giants are red hot. I'm fired up. This team. Oh, wait a minute. They got eliminated already, didn't they? Oh, shoot. I thought they were red hot and ready to make a late surge, but
they might as well be playing in Scottsdale in preseason exhibition games that don't mean anything, right? Hey, we should have been there at Scottsdale.
Welcome, everybody, to NorCal Sports Network. The Giants waited 158 games into the season to get their first 5-game winning streak, and it doesn't count. It doesn't count. Welcome, NorCal Sports Network. You see the banner right at the top there. We're heard right here on YouTube, on X, formerly known as Twitter, Spotify, Instagram, Apple Podcasts, TikTok, and you name it, Facebook. And this channel, this show is brought to you by, right there at the bottom of the screen, Secure Money, also known as Dan Cochimilio Insurance Services in California. Give me a call if you need any help with protecting your assets, growing your assets without risk of losing. I've said it over and over, guys. Look, I've been right quite a bit regarding the San Francisco Giants. You trust my take on the Giants? You might want to trust my take on the economy, because we're headed for a financial market crash. If you've got money in the market, you're going to want to put it in a safe place. If I'm wrong, guess what? You still make money. If I'm right, you didn't lose a dime, and I'll be probably one of your beneficiaries because you'll love me so much. So give me a call, 888-960-SAFE, 888-960-7233, or SAFE right there. And then if you need a loan, guys, you better take advantage right now of rates, because they're down, and we don't know who's going to win this election. But you probably don't want to wait, because if somebody wins it who cackles a lot, your rates are probably going up. Okay, so
the special effects, hilarious.
Yeah, you might want to get that loan now secured. Give Los a call. Rates are in the low 5s. You can even get them in the 4s, maybe with a buy down. And give Los a call now. 925-250-4894. So this show brought to you by two amigos. You're staring at them. You're looking at them. Right here, me on your, I guess if you're watching on the screen, I don't know if it's your left or right. I guess it's
right.
Who knows? Maybe you're right, Los on your left. Either way, our names are up on the screen. Give us a call. You trust us with our takes in sports. You know we like to have fun. We're serious guys, but we can also have a lot of fun. We're serious when we need to be. So, yes, guys, Giants are hot, maybe the hottest team in baseball right now next to the Detroit Tigers. But something tells me the Tigers' wins mean a little bit more right now, Los.
Just a little bit. Just a little bit.
Yeah. And we'll get to some of the articles, guys. I've got articles from Susan Slusser on Moneyball today that came out, and I've got an article on Andrew Baggerly regarding an interview with Farhan. And Farhan doesn't know where he stands right now, and he understands that, he says.
He's squirming a little bit, Dan.
He's squirming, and I think, you know what? If the Giants ownership group looks at this last 8 games and says, wow, this is a really good team, can be, and they bring back Farhan, I'll tell you, that will be a joke. Robert Rothberg says, why diminish the victories? Because it's too little too late, Robert. It means nothing. I don't get excited for meaningless wins. It's like spring training for the Giants right now. It really is. This is spring training.
I like Robert on the phone talking verbally more than the texting Robert, as far as like interesting, knowledgeable, like knows the game. Like, come on, Robert, you know these victories don't mean a thing. Like this is an exhibition time. These are meaningless. Anybody can hit a 2-run homer in the third inning when you're down 11-0. How about hitting a 2-run homer in the bottom of the 8th inning when you're down 4-3? That's what this team does. They don't hit in the clutch. They haven't all year. They lost who knows how many games because they could not hit with men in scoring position. But all of a sudden, when all the pressure is off and there's nothing to play for, they just play loose. They play free. All of a sudden, now they're playing well. So they get absolutely zero credit for winning when it doesn't count.
Exactly. So, yeah, it's. Hold on one second here. Okay. So, hold on. I got to make something. Okay.
Yes, Robert, you're right. They're playing against good teams and they have something to play for. And the Giants are playing well, but it's a tease. Like, it's a complete tease. Like, that team should have been playing that kind of ball, for the better part of the year. And they haven't. So.
And we welcome in the kid. Hey, you missed the opening, man. It was one of the better ones. The Giants are red hot. They've won 5 in a row. And this team is going. Oh, wait. They don't count.
What a game, though. I mean, what a game.
Yeah, 11-0. Hey, let's break that down and check that out. Let me see here. Let's break that down and we pull up the.
Hi, Bora.
Hello, Los.
How are you, Bora?
I'm great.
Good to see you.
You too.
We still got the Padres game going on, by the way, too. It's into the 8th. Padres leading 4-1. Michael King, boy, why did I trade that guy? Just jeez.
That's what you do, Trader Dan.
Yep, Trader Dan. Oh. All right, so here is tonight's box score. Giants pounded the ball all over the place. Oops, I got the wrong box score. I pulled up the Padres. How's Ohtani doing? 1 for 3. How's Merrill doing? 1 for 4. Okay. All right. Looking at the wrong box score. Let's go to the games finished here at the bottom. Giants. Here we go. Can you guys see the box score for the Giants now?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right. Yaz goes 1 for 5, and he got robbed of a 3-run homer by Corbin Carroll. Ramos, good to see, 4 for 5, gets that batting average up to 270, hits his 22nd homer. Lamont Wade, 1 for 3. Everybody participating except Matt Chapman tonight, 0 for 4, 2 Ks. Casey Schmidt even got into the game at third base and got an RBI on a bases-loaded walk. Michael Conforto, another home run off of a lefty. 3 for 5. Michael Conforto, 19 knocks, 150 less at bats than Chapman. This guy might be leading the team in home runs if he was, getting as many at bats. And then we've got Bailey had a good night, 2 for 4. 2 for 4. Fitzgerald, 2 for 4, hits another home run. Finally, hadn't hit one for a while. Grant McCray, 1 for 5. Wisely, 2 for 5 with a big 3-run homer. Everybody got into the act that had some at bats except Chapman. Interesting. Chapman goes 0 for 4, but
interesting, but not surprising.
Yeah, struck out early in the game with runners on second and third when it was a ball game, but teammates pulled it out. Guys,
Chapman is following that Bay Area pattern of get paid and your value diminishes, and so does your production. It's a Bay Area thing.
Although he had a pretty good night. Yeah. He had a good night last night. He hit an inside the park homer and a triple, but we'll see where Chappie ends up. I mean, he's a good ball player, but he's having a really good year. So we'll give him credit for the good year, but we'll see how that contract plays out.
We predicted 230 to 240 on his batting average.
Yeah,
give or
he's hitting
take.
at two. He's at 247. He just
he's
needs to go 0 for the rest of the 24, and we'll be under 240.
I don't think that'll happen, but I think
only 4 more games. It could.
We were pretty close. We had Yaz at about 220 to 240. Boom, 232. We thought Ramos was a good player. He's a good player. We thought Lamont Wade kind of had a career year, and he was not exactly a run-producing first baseman. We go right down the line. I don't think there's too many things we missed on. We thought Conforto was a 220 to 240 hitter, would hit with a little power. Boom, he's at 234. What exactly were we wrong on, guys, at the start of the year? What were we? We had to have been absolutely wrong on something, or maybe we weren't.
A lot of
Dan predicted
right.
Bailey's batting average would come back down.
Yep, Dan. Mm-hmm.
And he was right on that. I predicted Snell would be not a great signing, and that worked for 2 months, and then he became lights out. But at the end of the day, what's his record? How many wins does he have? 3?
Who's that?
Blake Snell.
3 or 4, something like that.
About 10 million. About 10 million to win.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think we were pretty spot on with the San Francisco Giants for sure.
With this win tonight, the Giants now have a positive run differential. They're at +7, I think, for the first time since the first series of the league. So.
Oh wow.
Mm-hmm. It's something, but the season's over. There's not much you can say. They had a good game, but it pretty much stops there.
Yeah. Wow. Look at Robert Rothberg. He's build the team around Webb. Hold on. Oh, my phone's ringing. I can't believe it. Hold on. It's the San Francisco Giants calling me. Hold on a second.
Oh, wow. Breaking news on NorCal.
Hello, this is Dan. Larry, what's up? You there, Larry?
I'm here, Dan.
Larry, I have got a guy that you need to hire. He will spin everything the Giants' way. Doesn't matter if you guys break the White Sox record next year for worst record of all time. I got a guy in my chat that loves the Giants, and he will make it positive no matter how bad things are. Can I hook up an interview for him with you?
What's his name?
His name is Robert Rothberg, and he's looking he is so positive. This guy, Larry, Robert Rothberg will put cheeks in the seats for you. He will bring guys to you because it doesn't matter what happens. He will tell everybody to think positive. And people can go to a ball game there at Oracle, get their cars broken into, and the Giants lose 23-0, and people will be walking out of the ballpark like they got free merch, and they met the woman of their long lost dreams in the men's bathroom.
Well, Dan, what I'll say to that is we've already made the decision to not fire Farhan. So we know Farhan's going to be back next season.
No, Larry, you can't do that.
Yep. Sorry. The decision has been made. So I don't know if there's a spot in the organization for Robert Rothberg.
Larry, Larry, do me a favor. See if you can. Your eyeballs are covered in crap. You got your head up so far up your ass. I can't believe it. You're not bringing Farhan back.
Yes, we are. I just spoke with Greg Johnson and Buster Posey, and we're all on board. We're all on board with Farhan. This last stretch of the road trip has really proven to the ownership group and to the front office that Farhan's team underperformed this year, and this last stretch is really what should have happened the whole season.
Larry, you're dumber than I thought. How's Pam? Is she you bouncing her around still?
Pam and I are we're on non-speaking terms right now.
Oh, okay. Okay, Larry. Larry, if you don't fire Farhan, I will personally see to it that your car is no longer in the employee parking lot, but is subject to the rest of the city having your car being broken into.
Well, Dan, here's what I'll say to that.
And lay off the booze, Larry. One of our chat members said.
Okay. For whoever said that, I'm currently in AA right now, so I'm doing better with that. All I can say is we have a really smart vision for the future, and we can really see ourselves making the playoffs next year and contending for the World Series. And the ultimate goal, of course, is to break even.
Larry, I got to admit, you're I don't even know what to say to you, but I'm done with this conversation. I'm no longer. I gave up my season tickets because of what you guys did, and I've got 30,000 friends that are going to just boycott the stadium next year.
Well, Dan, what I'll say to that, and I'll let you go here, is go Giants, and we'll always accept you back for season tickets. We want you back.
Yeah, I'm sure you do, Larry. But put a ball club together first, okay? And you can start by getting rid of Farhan, and you can step down and let me come on as an advisor, and I will hire a few guys to put the team together back on the right path. Okay? Thanks,
What are you talking about? This team, this roster construction is perfect. We have Mike Yastrzemski, who plays offense and defense to perfection in right field. We have Elliot Ramos that Farhan completely saw and brought up the whole.
Oh, give me a break, Larry. I you know what, Larry? I'm going to hang up on you because I'm going to play some music for you on my show. You're a clown, first class clown. That's all you are, Larry. That's it. You're a clown. I'm done with you. I'm done with your team. How's fourth place treating you, Larry? You enjoying that, Larry? Larry! Hey, Larry! Larry, you enjoying fourth place? Huh,
Yes.
Larry? What do you got to say to fourth place 2 years in a row, Larry?
We're not focused on the past. We're focused on the future.
Yeah, and the future says right now you're in fourth place. The present. How about the present? You're in fourth place, Dan, Larry.
I don't appreciate the disrespect, so I'm hanging up now.
Go ahead. There's no respect here for you. What a clown, everybody. Ladies and gentlemen.
That went well.
Larry Berry of the San Francisco Giants. Robert Rothberg, how can I explain this 5-game winning streak? I will say they're playing very good ball, Robert. Can't take anything away from them. It's impressive what they're doing, but unfortunately, it means nothing. It means nothing towards next year, because if it meant something, Robert, their 22 season when they came back and went 8-2 down the stretch to make it to 81-81 would have carried over into 23. Last year, they were 79-83. Right now, they're 79-79. And you know what? I don't buy it. I don't buy the talent. I don't buy anything other than there's a few pieces I buy on this team. One is Ramos. Chapman's a professional. He'll be fine. Jung-Hoo Lee should be okay. Yeah, I believe in playing with pride. They're playing with pride. I get it. They're not supposed to go out there and just quit. But what I'm also not supposed to jump up and down with glee and joy like this is the greatest team since the 2021 Giants when they won 107 games.
And that is the difference between the Giants and the 49ers and Warriors fan base. Can you imagine the Warriors being eliminated from the playoffs and fans in the chat going, oh my God, they've won 4 in a row. Wow, they're playing well. Steph is at 32 points a game. They're eliminated. Can you imagine the Niners being eliminated 3 games before the season ends? They're out of the playoffs and then they win their last 3 games. Do you think the fan base would be excited over that?
No, you know what the 49er fans would be like in 2017? It's like, lose, we want Bosa. Lose, please. We want Bosa. Don't win. Gosh. No, Giants, let's win so maybe we can get that 15th pick instead of the 9th pick.
Robert, I love you, but there's no participation trophy that's going to be passed out for the Giants winning. But if you want to start up a shirt and start wearing it next year that says my Giants won the last 7 games of their season, I guess go ahead. You'll get a few good chuckles out of it, but
maybe if they end up over 500 like Melvin's Padres last year, who came on late after it was all over and got to 82-80, maybe the Giants finish 82-80, and then maybe they hire Mike Stilt from the Padres for the team next year, and they look like the best team in the National League.
Yeah, maybe if they had played Ramos and Fitzgerald, like we said, and some of the young guys earlier in the year, maybe they might have made the playoffs, but they didn't. They waited a long time to play the young guys. So there you go, Robert. Here's your Farhan.
Dan, how did the Giants? Oh my Padres just had a triple play to end the game.
No way, really?
Yep.
Wow.
Runners on first and second, no one out, and they did a triple play. Dan, you're muted.
You guys want to see it? They're reviewing it right now. Here it is. Steps on third.
Perfect throw right in the chest. He's out.
Oh, he's out all the way. What are we reviewing?
Oh, it's a triple play. Wow, to end the game? That's rare.
Yep.
Let's play this back again. Here it is. Okay, steps on third. What? Oh, the reviews at second, maybe.
I was going to say the one at second was pretty close.
He was out. They're replaying it. Yeah, he's out. It's not even close. Rojas took the first pitch and he showed bunt, and then he pulled back on the first pitch. And then the second pitch, he swings away and grounds into a triple play.
Yeah, they just announced it.
That is crazy.
Oh, no, they're announcing it's a review. Let's see it second. Steps on third. Oh, he's out.
Hey, do you guys think if Farhan is let go, it's going to happen immediately as soon as the season over, or do you think it'll carry on for a little while?
It has to happen immediately after the season, just because you can't make an exception, or I don't see how you can still be analyzing the season and analyzing Farhan after the season is ended. I think, Los, do you think that Farhan's gone?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. So we all think that Farhan's gone, and it's not like the ownership is still going to be making up their minds. They've already made their minds. It's not this last late season push isn't going to change their minds. Their minds have already been made up, and if it doesn't happen right after the season's over, then it's kind of time to worry.
Do you think Melvin goes with him?
No.
Wow. Listen to the announcer for the Dodgers. What an improbable finish. Their closer was struggling. How do you get out of it? First two guys on, nobody out, and you get a triple play to end the game. Now, if the Dodgers had not come back on Sunday with back-to-back homers in the bottom of the ninth to walk off the Rockies, they would be within one game right now. The Padres would be one game out. Padres are 2 out. If they sweep the Rockies, the Dodgers, they are in first place. They're tied, but they have the tiebreaker. Then they just need to go to Arizona. Arizona may be the team that gets knocked out of this thing right now, guys. Let's talk about that. Arizona has now lost 3 games in a row. After winning first three in Milwaukee, they blew an 8-0 lead Sunday and lost 10-9. Come home kind of down, devastated. You think, well, we'll just pick it back up and get their butts handed to them 2 nights in a row by the Giants of all teams. And they are now tied virtually they're a half game behind, or they have a half game lead over the Braves, but the loss column, they're tied, and the Braves own the tiebreaker over the D-backs.
Do they?
Yes.
There's some good baseball happening right now. The Dodgers, Padres, and Mets, Braves. That's exciting baseball. That's playoff baseball.
This is playoff baseball for some teams. I watched the Tigers game today. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
That was exciting.
Los, I had told Dan yesterday, there are a lot of negatives to the expanded playoffs and the extra wild card. But the one thing I will say is a positive for baseball is the last week of the season is very exciting. And it's much more exciting to have a bunch of teams in that mix and in that hunt competing for that last playoff spot rather than just having 2 playoff spots and it kind of being set.
Oh, no doubt. That's why they did it. But hopefully it stops there, because then if they keep adding more and more wild cards, then it's not credible. Like now, then 500 teams are going to be making the playoffs. So I think you have to respect what teams do during the regular season to legitimately get in the playoffs. So I would hope that it stops right here, that it's no more than what they have right now as wild cards. But I agree. It allows more fan bases and more teams, which sells more tickets. It's bottom line what it's all about is more tickets, more money.
Mm-hmm.
I'm checking the standings. They have been updated. So we will take a peek at the standings and have a little fun with what's going on division-wise and wild card. Here we look at the Indians. The Guardians have clinched their division despite another channel saying, not sure, the Guardians haven't clinched yet, but usually if I do my math right, 7.5 games up with 5 to play, that should be a clincher.
Hey, speaking on that, Dan, I haven't hit send or enter yet, but I just, for shits and giggles, I put Padres Guardians World Series. It's like 18-1.
That's not bad. I like it. I like Clint. I like that. I like the Padres. American League. I was thinking, who's it going to be? Is it going to be the Yankees?
Yankees are the favorite. Houston is second. I think the Indians are like 4th, and then the Padres are 3rd.
Oh, the Royals got a win finally after a 7 or 8 game losing streak. They beat who'd they beat tonight? The Royals.
They beat the Twins.
Yes, the Twins are.
Go to the wild card. Go to the wild card standings.
Yeah, let's scan through this real quick so then I don't have to go back. Only races in the National League West. Padres 2 behind the Dodgers. So let's take a look at the wild card. Come on, give me the mouse. There we go. The cursor. Okay. So there's your wild card right there, guys. Look at that. It's Kansas City and the Tigers up 2 on the Twins. The Mariners lost to the Astros tonight, giving the Astros the division. So the Mariners can now, they've got to climb over basically 2 teams to get to the wild card. That's tough to do when you're 3 back in the loss column with 4 to play. 4 to play, and you're, wait a minute. No, they got 5 to play. 84. No, 4. 4. They've only got 4 to. No. Take that back. Yeah, no. What am I looking? I'm looking at the Red Sox, and they got 4, and the Mariners have 4 to play. The best they can do is 85 and 77. So, can anybody look up for me the Tigers? Hey, I'll tell you what, Bora, you look up the Tigers Twins season series. I'll look up the Tigers Mariners. Okay.
And when we're analyzing and handicapping these contenders and these teams, I would just kind of throw out there that it used to be, whoever had the most dominant starting pitching would be probably the hands-on favorites. But that game is not in play as much as it used to be. So maybe it's who has the stronger bullpen.
Which would be Cleveland.
And that's why I like Cleveland as a bit of an underdog. They're like the 4th highest selection in the AL, and the Padres are the 3rd. So maybe I might just do a straight bet on Cleveland making the World Series. That's probably like 8-10 to 1. And just that'll be a simpler one, and then maybe throw a little smaller bet into who they might match up with. But yeah, I think whoever has the strongest bullpen might make some noise when it comes to this go around, because other than a handful of pitchers like Skubal for the Tigers, he's a bona fide stud ace. Like, that guy wants to go 7. He's got Logan Webb's mentality. He wants to go 7, 8, 9 innings. You get him to the playoffs and throw in game 1, he doesn't want to come out of that game. He wants to throw 9. He's a throwback pitcher. That's why I love Skubal. But there's not many guys like that if you look around the whole league. So something to keep an eye on, bullpens, and who has the stronger ones might be the ones advancing.
Okay, Tigers played Seattle in consecutive weeks in August, and they won 5 of 6. So the Tigers own the tiebreaker over the Mariners. So that is, in essence, a 3.5 game lead, because the Tigers only need to win 2 more. And but how about with the Twins there? The Twins can have 5 games left. They can win 86.
Twins have a record of 7-6 against the Tigers this year.
So the Twins hold the tiebreaker. So if they both finish at 85 and 77, the Twins. So basically, the Tigers win 3. They go 3-2 over their final 5. The Twins would have to win out 5 in a row to win.
The Tigers are playing the Rays tomorrow, the Rays on Thursday,
and then the White Sox.
And then the White Sox. The Twins are playing the Marlins the next 2 days. Then they're playing the Orioles.
And the Orioles may not be playing for anything, though.
That is true, because they've clinched that one wild card spot, right?
Right.
Boy, I tell you, those Astros, man, remember the start they got off to? Whew. Boy, have they gotten hot and turned it around.
I heard this stat today. Have the Astros been to 7 consecutive championship series?
Yes.
That might be accurate.
They went in 17, their first.
They went in 18 because that was Red Sox Astros.
They went back to back. And then, the Red Sox. They lost to the Red Sox. They went in 19 and 20. That's 4. 21, 22, and 23. Yeah, they've gone to 7 straight ALCSs.
And how about that consistency of being relevant and being a contender? And we talked about that early in the year. We talked about sometimes you need to hit rock bottom and rebuild and start from scratch and get all these higher draft picks, lose 90 or 100 games, whatever. Get these high draft picks that you're supposed to hit on, top 5 players, your Bobby Witt Juniors, your superstar players like that. Those are the type of things that people, when they say, oh, we don't want the Giants to rebuild. Well, if you keep staying in the middle, you keep drafting 15th, 16th, 17th, and it's really hit or miss. So The Astros did it right. Now look at them. Every year they're good because they had top draft picks and they hit on them year after year. And then threw in a few free agents.
And they're still good without Pete Putila. Who would have thought?
Yeah, geez. I thought that would tear up the organization. Charlie Sinclair donates $1.99 super chat. Thank you, Charlie. Says game-ending triple play. We saw it here. We watched it a little bit on the phone, the Go phone. Yes, the NorCal Sports Network phone. NorCal Sports. We'll entertain you as well, but it's just NorCal Sports Network. Okay.
Hey Dan. Philip Coppola is talking about the Astros don't strike out. Are they put it in play? Pretty contact team.
Who's that?
The Astros.
We'd have to look at their strikeout rate. We could do that. We looked at the.
I was just curious about that.
We looked at the Giants' strikeout rate last night. For starting 9, the Padres and the Dodgers.
Dan,
every one of the Giants.
Look at it?
Here's the Giants. Bailey 22, Wade 23, Fitz 31%, Schmidt 22, Chapman 24, Ramos 26, Yaz Conforto 26, Jung-Hoo Lee 8%. We talked about this, that the Giants need to have at least 3 more players, preferably 4 or 5 guys in the lineup that strike out less than 20%. Here's the Padres. Listen to the Padres. Cronenworth 18, Kim 16, Bogart 17. I can't read my writing. Who's 19? Machado 19, Profar 15, Merrill 17, Tatis 22, the catcher 21, and catch this, Arias. What do you think?
6.
Try half of that.
Oh man,
3%.
It's like Tony Gwynn, man. I love him. Yeah. I love Arias.
And did we not say on here? Did I not say trade for Arias during spring training? I said, what did I say? He can be had, and he wouldn't have cost that much. And the Giants didn't come through. Farhan, for that you should be fired. For Ramos, missing out on Ramos, you should be fired. For everything else you've done, you should be fired. But just being a lack of doing nothing good. I mean, his best moves were probably going out and getting Snell. And look, Chapman had a good year, so you can't say anything against that.
But did he really get them? Like, he signed them, yes, but how late into
probably Melvin got him.
Melvin was I think it was Melvin, because we heard at the trade deadline, Melvin was probably the one guy who got Canna.
They weren't. Let's just put it this way: if Gabe Kapler were here, those guys weren't coming.
Nope.
What do you got here?
Not at all.
This is the Astros batting stats, and we can see the strikeout percentage. Jordan Alvarez is at 15%.
Wait a minute. Oh, I'm looking at base on balls. I saw 10.9. I says, Alvarez, is that low? Still 15% for a slugger like Alvarez.
Mm-hmm. Kyle Tucker's at 16.3%.
Okay. So I'm just looking at this. I don't even have to say anything other than you got to get new hitting coaches. You got to get new minor league instructors. You need to totally revamp everything that is in the organization. Everything. It's a complete failure. Look at the Astros. You've got a guy with 35 home runs with a 15% K rate, a 22 home run guy who would have 30 he'd have 35 if he didn't get hurt.
Mm-hmm.
He missed the whole 2 or 3 months. Okay.
Kyle Tucker's name does not get recognized as much.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean,
very underrated.
He is
he's
super
the guy I want
underrated.
to trade for. He's the guy I want to trade for.
Is he a free agent?
No, 1 more year. I would go after him hard.
I don't know if the Astros do that, though. I could see them just extending Kyle Tucker to a major deal, because he's a great player. I mean, he is elite. Look at, his walk rate is higher than his strikeout rate. That's Juan Soto-esque.
Okay, take a look at their third baseman, Bregman. Would you rather have him or would you rather have Chapman for the next 5 years?
Bregman.
Thank you. Thank you.
His strikeout rate is 18.7%.
Yep.
He hits home runs.
Yep.
He hits for better average. He's
doesn't quite have Chapman's glove, but he makes
Nope.
up for it in hitting.
Yep. Give me the hitting.
Yep.
Jeez.
I would have loved Bregman.
He's got a minimum. Chapman signed for 6 and 151. Bregman's starting point is 6-152. That's the starting point. You don't even have a seat at the table if you don't come with that.
I don't agree with that. I think Chapman's the better player.
No.
Yes. Uh-huh.
No.
Yeah.
Based on what?
I mean, to me, Chapman.
Do a stat head. Do a stat head to head. And
Okay.
I'm not gonna.
I'll do that. But let me say my piece. To me, I mean, and I haven't watched Bregman, to be fair, so I don't know how he plays. He might be really, really good defensively. He might be an elite base runner, everything. But when I watch Chapman, he is above average offensively. If you're going by OPS and OPS plus, whatever. The eye test, he doesn't hit with runners in scoring position, whatever you want to say. Chapman is elite defensively. He's the best defensive third baseman right now. I don't think that's without a doubt. I don't think there's a question with that. Chapman's also an elite base runner. I like Chapman a lot. I like his base running a lot. He extends plays with his base running, and his IQ is very he's very intelligent, and he's a great clubhouse guy. I mean, you guys have seen the clips of NBC Sports Bay Area putting out Chapman post game in his referee uniform when they're doing their like post game like free throws or whatever. I mean, to me, Chapman is a guy that the stats, the offensive stats and the offensive production doesn't do him justice as a player. Like, I really like Chapman as a team clubhouse guy, as a leader, as a guy you can look up to as a young kid, because Chapman plays the game the right way. I mean, he knows how to play the game. He plays the game the right way. He's a great base runner. He's an elite defender, and he's an above average hitter. I mean, he's not a 4 hitter. He's not a 5 hitter. He might not even be a 6 hitter, but he is a positive contributor to a team. And Dan, you've said this, I've said this, Los, you've probably said this. If he was on the Dodgers or if he was on the Yankees, he would probably be an all-star. Because
he'd be really valuable to them.
He'd be really valuable because he has the talent around him. He can't carry a team. He's not the guy that's going to carry a team, but I would, and I have to watch Bregman. I haven't watched Bregman, but I would take Matt Chapman.
You need to watch Bregman and then make the comparison.
Exactly.
Yeah, there you go.
Uh-huh.
Because Chapman is kind of, you just said it, he's more of a role player. I'm not going to pay 6 years and $150 million for a role player. You need to be somewhat of a star. And Bregman has showed in the postseason when everything is on the line.
That's a good point.
That guy has stepped up. I want guys that step up in October and November, not in September when I'm out of the race.
That's
so
a really good point.
To me, Bregman is the better player. It's not by a lot, but I would give him 6 and 150 before I'd give Chapman.
I think we can agree though the contracts are going to be similar. Like the annual values.
How old is Bregman? He's about the same age, right? 31, 32?
I think he's like 30, 31.
I think he's 30.
Yeah. And he's not gonna hit as well in this ballpark as he is in Houston, which is a hitter's park. So let's be real on that. But if you put their stats up side by side, Bregman's not hitting a little bit better. He's hitting quite a bit better. And I need a guy, if I'm going to give him 6 and 150, I need a guy to drive in runs. I'm just big on RBIs, maybe more than some people, but I love RBI. I love guys in the middle of the order that can get that run in, whether it's a ground ball, a fly ball, a 3-run homer, somehow, some way. And Chapman has just struck out so many times.
I hate to do this.
Yeah, prove me wrong. It's okay.
Don't remember WAR defense.
That's for this year?
That's for this year, yeah.
Okay. Let's
keep in mind.
I mean, it's pretty similar though. Like if you look at the home runs 25 to 27, RBI 73 to 78. Chapman's a little better offensively.
Do me a favor. Do career.
career.
Do from like 17, 20. When did Bregman come up?
I
17 or 18?
can't argue this year. He's a little bit better than Bregman. That surprises me a little bit. So I'm quite humbled by the young man.
I think they came
Good
up
job,
about
Laura.
the same time. There we go. The
student teaches the teacher. I love it.
But the teacher ends up coming back with the last laugh.
Maybe you will. I just got knocked down. You're gonna have to pick up for me, man.
I just did. We just did the career. Somehow that one side of green looks a little bit overwhelming to
the batting average. Woo! Oh,
no, yeah, that's the big thing. And I mean, Los, I know you value batting average pretty highly, right?
Yes.
I mean, I like batting average too. But I'm fine. Like, I'm not going to be criticizing Matt Chapman for his 240 batting average just because that's who he is. And that's always who he is. And that's always who he is going to be. I'll say this about Chapman, though. He's consistent. And he's very consistent with who he is. If you look at Matt Chapman's career numbers, he is very consistent year to year. He had a one down year last year with his like 17 home runs. But besides that, it's been 27 home runs. The batting average is at 240. So you know what you're going to get.
Can you scroll that up so we can see the rest of the championships, the All-Stars? Gold Glove. I thought it was a clean sweep. Let me just ask this guy right here. I just had it up. Where did it go? Hold on. Come on. Why is my
right here? I got
it. M. Deering. Are you sure? Are you sure Chapman beats Bergman, as you call him? I'll call him Bregman. In all stats minus average, it's not close, guys.
Is that correct? Bregman's got him beat on stolen bases too. 42
in a career
26?
for career.
So I thought that was Chapman's like calling card, like he's a better base.
Oh, he's just had, this is Chapman's big stolen base year. He's had like 15 of them this year.
When I say base running, though, I'm not necessarily just
he's a good base runner. Chapman,
no doubt. No. He's an excellent base runner.
I'll say this: if Chapman had played on the Astros, those numbers might be a little bit better for Chapman.
A little bit better.
But I still think Bregman's a clutch player. Chapman is not as evidenced by RBIs. And how many games? Okay, so a little bit more games for Bregman, about 90 games more, but really pretty close overall in WAR, in games played, in plate appearances a little bit more. But
if two players are relatively equal as far as just stats, and we're always talking crap about analytics and Farhan and stats, then I go to things that are outside of stats, which is clutch, which is championships, and when it counts. And to me, Bregman wins that.
Bregman's the kind of guy.
I've seen that guy come
when
up
the game's
with so
on
many
the line,
big hits, man, over the years.
When the game's on the line, Bregman is the guy you want up, and you don't want Chapman up. Yep. You don't want Chapman up with runners in scoring position because a pitcher with good stuff can strike him out unproductive. M. Deering says, I'm certain you just showed it. That was 1 year, this year. Okay.
So Chapman's had a better year this year, but Bregman's had the better career overall.
Right.
So then you have to ask yourself, okay, we can go this year, slightly Chapman. Career, a little bit more than slightly Bregman. So now you got to ask yourself, who do you foresee, if you're going to give 6 years and $150 million to one player or another, who is going to regress and who is going to continue to get better? I will say this for Chapman on his behalf, even though I'm more of a Bregman fan. Chapman looks like the guy that every year he's going to come into camp in shape, and he's not going to regress as far as his taking care of his body.
He's physically a complete professional.
Yeah, I will definitely give that. Now, Bregman, I don't know too much about. I don't know if he's the type that would take the 6 years, $150 million, and all of a sudden maybe not work out as much, come in heavy. I don't know. All I know is what I've seen from Bregman is, and you'll see it in a few weeks when he's in the playoffs. and we'll come on the show and we'll talk about it because we'll cover the playoffs. Bregman comes through in the clutch, and I love
Bregman
that.
will be 31 opening day next year. Chapman turns 32 a month into the season.
So he's a year younger.
Stan, do you want to address this?
I've never seen a channel shit on a good player more than you do, Chapman. It's kind of weird at this point.
I don't know. I don't know if we shit on him, but maybe we hold people to a higher standard than we don't have very medium expectations of a player. Like he's not a franchise player. He's not an all-star. The best word I can say for Chapman is he's solid.
Chapman's a solid player. I've said, I got on him.
Yeah, we're not saying he's a bad player. We're just saying he's not great.
I didn't like the fact that the Giants signed him. And the reason wasn't because Matt Chapman's not a really good player. I just think he's an inconsistent hitter. And I thought he struck out too much. And I thought this is not what the team needs. He's not going to push the Giants over the edge. So the fact is, could his signing prove to be vital in recruiting some stars? Possibly. If that's the case, if he's able to bring in a Juan Soto and a Willie Adames because Matt Chapman is signed and that's the reason, then, hey, it's worth signing Matt Chapman. But if you bring in, what you brought in this offseason and you run with a team like that, then Matt Chapman is just purely wasted. He's just a name that is, and he's not going to be a guy. Look, he's not even going to get 80 RBIs again this year, guys. He's your cleanup hitter and 5-hitter, and he's leading the team in home runs, and he doesn't even get 80 RBIs. What does that say about this team? Spencer Steer has like 91 RBIs, and he's hitting worse average than Chapman. Guys, Chapman had a chance for 2 more RBIs tonight. All he had to do is he could have hit a fly ball and got 1. He struck out. This is what he does. A lot of Chapman's runs are empty stats. They're home runs when the team's winning big or they're losing big. It doesn't mean much. He doesn't come through in the clutch often. He does sometimes. And I'm not saying Matt Chapman's a bad player. He's not. I said many times, he's a great third baseman. He's a great base runner. He's a great clubhouse guy. He plays every day. All those are valuable. But on this team, it's not enough. And because he can't carry you offensively, he's not a guy that you say, I'll put you on my back and I will carry you for 2 weeks. He's not. If he was, he'd have 100 RBIs right now, and the Giants would have won. If Chapman came through, he struck out close to 50 times this year with runners in scoring position. That's a lot of strikeouts. If he would have come through on 10% of those, that's 5 times. If he would have come through and helped the Giants win 5 more games, they're 84 and 74 right now and not even technically eliminated. But he did look, there's a lot of games he just didn't come through. And that's okay. Hey, Giovanni, how's your 4th place team doing? You enjoy 4th place again, Giovanni? Get out of here.
So if the Giants, let's say, would have traded Chapman at the deadline, gotten some kind of prospect or maybe a few prospects, and then picked up Bregman in free agency for the same amount, which would you rather have? Chapman still here or Bregman, who's about the same player and hits better in the clutch with 2 or 3 prospects? That's your choice.
I would have to see the prospects, but to me, you guys aren't going to like it, but I would rather have Chapman.
No, I mean, that's your opinion.
I like
Chapman.
Chapman. I like Chapman. you guys are lower on Chapman than I am.
I like Chapman. I just don't think he's enough. Now,
I completely agree with that, Dan.
You bring in
I
two or
do.
three guys that are all-stars. I'm not talking about just bringing in, you need a Willie Adames and a Santander. Adames can drive in runs, but you got to give me a couple of free agents that get on base, 350 plus clip and hit you 280-ish and strike out 15% or less of the time. Find me two or three guys like that in the offseason that actually, and you will see those guys actually, I would venture to say that if Jung-Hoo Lee batted in Chapman's spot, he would have more RBIs than Chapman.
I mean, that's a fair point. I don't know if I can argue with that because
he hits the ball.
He hits the ball. He puts the ball in play, and he knows how to hit the ball the other way. He knows how to hit a line drive up the middle. He knows how to situationally hit. I said it yesterday. Los, did you watch the game yesterday?
I haven't watched the game in about a week.
So yesterday, Casey Schmidt's up, right? It's his third at bat. He's hit the home run. He's, I think, walked in his previous at bat as well.
Wait a minute, did you say Casey hit a home run?
Yep. Uh-huh.
Oh, how's Casey doing since he's been given time?
Casey's doing really well.
But he's on the bench tonight.
But he's being platooned with Brett Wisely.
Casey's gonna go somewhere. And to all the Chapman lovers, Casey's gonna go somewhere. I don't know where. He's gonna be given a chance to play every day. And man, I'm telling you, they're gonna go through his slumps and they're gonna just let him play and figure it out. He's gonna be damn near Gold Glove third baseman. And I guarantee he's going to hit about the same batting average, if not a little bit higher than Chapman.
How about this trade?
For $800,000 a year.
I put together a trade. It was, who were the four guys I had going to the Astros? It was Wisenhunt, Schmidt, Matos, and maybe Reggie Crawford, or was it another outfielder? Anyway, four guys going to the Astros for Kyle Tucker.
That's not getting it done.
It does on the trade analyzer. It was way above. I doubled it. I made it way in the favor of the Astros because Bregman's gone with a free agency unless they re-sign him, but I don't think they will. Play Casey Schmidt at third base and watch Casey hit 245.
I could see Casey Schmidt on the Astros. I could see that.
And watch, I mean, he would be dynamite over there. They would be like, wow, we found a better fielding third baseman.
By the way, Giovanni, I could not watch baseball for a year and I'll still be extraordinaire. Just FYI.
But back to what I was saying about Casey Schmidt. So it's his third at bat. It's an 0-2 count. His first two pitches, he swung out. He swung out of his shoes. He had good swings. He fouled both of those pitches back. Third pitch, it's a slider on the outside corner. He swings for the fences, and it's a good swing. He fouls it back though, and you can hear it on the broadcast. Mike Kruko's like, "That's not a 2-strike swing. He's hacking up there." Next pitch, I forget what pitch it is, but he swings out of his shoes. He's swinging for the fences. There's a runner on first. There's runners on first and second, and he swings and misses. He strikes out. It's an 0-2 count. Where is the shorten up and put the ball in play?
It's not taught in the organization.
It's not. It's just not taught. I mean,
it needs to be. It needs to be.
That's why they're crappy. I think they need. You know who I think they need as their hitting coach?
Barry Bonds.
No, they need Giovanni Villegas. This guy. You got something to say to this, Los?
Oh, I did. 5 minutes ago, I said I could not watch a game for a year. Doesn't matter.
That's what you said.
Yeah, I know the game. I know the game. Why I want to watch the Giants for the last week? Yeah, you guys know my position on them. I got better things to do. I mean, Tulsa King is back on. Yellowstone's coming out.
I like Tulsa King a lot.
There's a lot of good shows out, man.
I'm going
to watch the Giants for 9 innings. Dude, get a life, Giovanni.
Giants, man. I was watching Dodgers Padres tonight. I mean, guys, this is it's over. Giovanni always comes in after wins and feels like he flexes, like he's really
he's a front runner.
Giovanni, did I say I hate Chapman? How many times have I say Chapman's a really good player? I said for once. In fact, Giovanni, let me
Giovanni
give you.
has selective
Dan, you can't
hearing.
stop giving him attention.
All right, Giovanni,
He
one more
has
time because I know
selective
you want
hearing.
I know you want to hear your theme song on yourself, Giovanni. Here you go. Hey, Giovanni, you promised to come in on the show. You want to come in? You want to call, Giovanni?
Yeah, please.
Giovanni, why don't you call in? Tell me you'll call in, and I'll give you the phone number, and you can call in. I want to hear your voice.
Los, you had asked the question to me earlier. If Farhan's gone, do I think Melvin's back? And I would say yes. Dan, you and I have talked about this.
Is that what you think is going to happen, or is that what you want to happen?
It's tough because we've heard the stories come out this past week or two, this past month, whatever it is, that Melvin has said that he's he's been handicapped. He hasn't been able to manage with his gut, and he's kind of been handicapped with the decisions that have been made. And I can agree with that to some point. At the same time, like, I like Melvin. I think he's a good manager. He's always been a good manager. I think he's like a 2-time manager of the year or whatever. And I think his coaching staff is pretty good. The one thing though is last year in San Diego, it was about the same, and he had a loaded roster, and that roster lost Juan Soto and Blake Snell, and they just clinched the playoffs. So I don't know because it's kind of close. But what I will say is the Chapman extension kind of leans me to say that Melvin's going to be back, because I think Chapman has a pretty good relationship with Melvin.
Yeah, Melvin's back with the Chapman thing. That's all part of the
See,
deal.
that's what's wrong with sports, man. Right there. Like, okay, so we just signed our third baseman, 6 years. He's going to be here for a long time. So let's keep his manager who likes him a lot. Let's do what's best for the Chapman-Melvin relationship instead of what's better for the effing San Francisco Giants. That's what's wrong with sports right there.
Yeah.
You don't cater to Melvin or to Chapman. It's like, hey, we signed you, and it's contingent. Here's a small print. Is Melvin coming back? Yeah, he's coming back. Okay, I'll sign for 6 years. No, man, it's about who gives the Giants the best chance to win. And in my opinion, it's not Melvin. I didn't like, not only just, I don't think he's good at handling younger players, which is the way we want the direction to go. I did not like the way he used the bullpen at all.
Mm-hmm.
He was very stubborn using guys that he should not have used. He finally moved off of Doval and inserted Walker as the closer when it was already too late, when everybody saw Doval was melting down. So I don't like how he handles a bullpen. And to be a contender, as I said 30 minutes ago, you got to have a good bullpen. But what difference does it mean if you have a good bullpen if you don't have a manager that knows how to use it? So I'm for Melvin not coming back, and the new GM, whoever that might be, bringing in somebody new. Just blow this thing up and just start it all fresh. We talked about last year only getting rid of manager and keeping the GM. This time we need to get rid of both, not just one.
And when a GM gets fired, most of the time the manager goes with him, because when a new GM is brought in, he picks his guy. If Farhan gets fired, or I should say, I'm pretty confident enough to say this, when Farhan gets fired, and if Melvin's brought back, whoever the new GM is, I'm not going to say there's going to be tension, but that's an excuse already. If the team doesn't perform, the new GM has an excuse. That Melvin's not my guy. He's not my guy. I didn't want him. Give me 3 more years to bring in a new guy and let me rebuild the team. That's the excuse, and that's going to be an excuse given if this team doesn't win. I don't know what managers are available, what managers are out there. I know David Bell just got fired from the Reds. He would possibly be a candidate.
Former Giant,
mm-hmm.
hard-nosed player.
And I know, I think, which was interesting, I'm pretty sure I heard this on Twitter that the reason David Bell was fired was because him and the GM or him and the front office had differing opinions on analytics. And I think David Bell wasn't pro analytics, and I think the front office and GM is pro analytics.
Oh,
so
I like him already.
Exactly. Don't take my word for that. I'm pretty sure I heard that right, but I could be wrong.
I'm with Ben Bamboo. I've been wanting and talking about Yadier Molina, one of the best ever, smart guy.
Absolutely
can relate to the Hispanic player.
Oh man, that would be good. That would be good.
Love Molina to run this team.
Hey guys, I got an article I want to bring up, an article to read. Haven't even read it fully. Comes heads up courtesy. I do subscribe to the Chronicle, but heads up courtesy from Aaron today. Giants president Farhan Zaidi acknowledges his job's uncertainty. Oh, that's the next one. The next one is Aaron gave me. This is from Andrew Baggerly. Hey, wait a minute. Come on. What happened? God got it.
Psych.
I gotta get knocked out. Jeez.
Yep.
Hold
on. I'll go back in it. I may have to sign in right online here.
Dan, while you do that, I'll ask you this. Okay, you got it.
Before you ask that, hold that thought. Griffin, Dusty Baker managed the Giants. Lifelong Dodger. So go ahead, Bor.
Dan, I'm gonna take that away just so you don't.
Yeah, I was just doing that. Yeah, thanks.
I'll ask you this, and Dan, whenever you're free to answer this, give me one role player on this Giants team or not role player, I'd say platoon player that you would take back. If it's Conforto, Yaz,
no,
Wade.
It'd be Wade because he can play multiple.
Let me give you all the options.
Okay, go ahead.
Conforto, Yaz, Wade, Brett Wisely, Walton, Mark Canna.
Oh, Walton. Yeah, I love Donnie Walton, man. He is a stud.
I loved him in the 70s on the show.
Yeah. Good night, John Boy.
Are there any other ones that I'm missing?
What's the who we would want to bring back? Give me those.
Give
names
me one player out of these players that you would want to bring back. Conforto, Yaz, Wade, Wisely, Walton, Canna. I think that's pretty much it, right?
It'd still be Wade for me.
It'd be Wade?
It'd be Wade for me because you guys know how I think. I want to construct a team that puts the ball in play, doesn't strike out a lot, gets on base. He plays a good first base, and he plays outfield. So he can play
I go with I agree with
positions. And I just all those other guys are just. I'm going to be very consistent. I don't like low batting averages. I don't like guys that hit in the 220s to 240s and don't put the ball in play when men are in scoring position.
I like that. I like that.
Would you bring him back to start, or is he?
No.
Okay.
I would want a new first baseman, and I would want Wade to play. Wade is a lot better. All the guys you mentioned are all better as just purely role players, but on the Giants, they've been starters, most of them, and that's the problem.
What do you guys?
Are you before you do that, Dan? Are you ready for mine?
Yeah, who?
I'm bringing back Walton? Mark Canna.
He would probably be my second choice.
I like Mark Canna. I like Mark Canna as a guy who's like on the 23 to 26th, the 23rd to 26th guy on your roster, just because. If he's not asked to do too much, if he's put into spot starts, he can work an at bat. From what I've seen, he's pretty clutch. He knows how to hit. He knows how to hit the other way. He knows how to shorten up and drive the ball.
He shortens up with two strikes and
exactly. I kind of like Mark Canna.
I mean, it's not a great list. Let's be honest.
It's not a great list.
I mean, you're picking the scrub of the scrubs. But yeah, Canna would not be a bad choice either.
And I mean, some of these guys are going to be back just because you have to supplement some guys at the back end of your roster. Like you can't have 26 guys. You can't have 26 all-stars. It just doesn't happen.
Well, according to Bub Rad, Canna is friends with Melvin. So since that's the new thing in baseball that people are telling me about, then I guess he must be back because it's all kumbaya and a bunch of friendships because that's how you build a team.
Yeah, Turd says Canada's a prototypical giant, old and slow. Yep, no athleticism. This team is full of that. It's okay to have a couple of guys like that if you have other guys that are, athletes.
Los, what do you think of Ha-Sung Kim?
Hold on, before I answer that question, give me Billy Martin and Reggie Jackson hating each other and fighting in the dugout and winning world championships. I don't care if you hate each other. Just win. I don't care. I don't need the kumbaya stuff, whatever. And he's my buddy.
Bora, you got the youngest pipes. You got a lot more words in your lifetime than I've got. Can you please read that?
Farhan Zaidi leaned against a cinder block wall in the tunnel outside the visiting clubhouse at Chase Field and took questions from 4 Giants beat reporters Tuesday afternoon. He sketched out off-season initiatives and priorities. He signaled the desire to sign or trade for a solid defensive shortstop. He expressed interest in re-signing left-hander and expected free agent Blake Snell, but acknowledged that having a seat at the table will only matter so much when the table is expected to be the size of a banquet hall. Zaidi sought to clear up confusion over the tumultuous handling of hitting prospect Marco Luciano and last month's abrupt decision to outright Tyro Estrada, who was the 2023 Willie Mack Award winner. He made it clear that the Giants wouldn't sign a first baseman or designated hitter to a multi-year contract that would block the way for top prospect Bryce Eldridge, who hit his way to AAA as a 19-year-old this season. He couldn't come out and say that he would tender a contract to outfielder Mike Yastrzemski, but spoke of that decision in rubber stamp terms. He spoke optimistically about the way so many young pitchers are finishing the season and agreed with the notion that the Giants could lose Snell and still assemble a quality rotation without signing a free agent starter. And he acknowledged the possibility that by the end of this week, none of these decisions will be his to make. Zaidi, who has another year on his contract plus a club option for 2026, says he has not received clarity on his status from ownership, nor has he sought any. He acknowledged that those discussions are ongoing between Chairman Greg Johnson and an executive board that includes CEO Larry Baer and former franchise star Buster Posey. Anytime you have a disappointing season, it's my job to evaluate everything in my purview, and it's their job to evaluate everything in my purview, plus me, Zaidi said. And I think that process is happening, and I understand it. You look around baseball, and there are other teams in the same boat as us with playoff aspirations, and it didn't happen. Trying to figure out what went wrong and how to be better. I'm still very committed to that. Johnson has been Zaidi's most fervent and outspoken supporter over the Zaidi's 6-year tenure, but dissatisfaction has grown among board members to the point that Johnson might be compelled to make a change. The Giants' uptick in attendance and their improved play down the stretch are other factors to consider, but all indications are that the board has arrived at its decision and are waiting until the season ends to announce a way forward, either with Zaidi or with the search for his replacement. The Giants entered Tuesday with a 78-79 record, and they were eliminated from the postseason last week, with 9 games remaining on the schedule. That elimination marked the 5th time in 6 seasons under Zaidi that the club will not reach the playoffs. Zaidi classified the team's failings as not super unique for teams that do not reach expectations, chalking up their shortcomings to a combination of health and some players underperforming their career norms.
Jeez.
Even as I think about the trade deadline and think about how good we felt about the rotation going into the last couple months of the season, we had that one good turn through the rotation, and then it was a bit of a struggle, Zaidi said. Just in this stretch, we've gotten some momentum with the rotation with some guys that we didn't necessarily expect to be there, a much younger group, which I think is good for us going forward. I do look at a lot of the silver linings this year. The fact that I think we're going to go into next year with the best group of young players we've had on the roster since I've been been here, both on the position player side and on the pitching side. That's really something to build on. In terms of organizational health, how does Zaidi stack up the club's middling performance with the contributions from Elliot Ramos, Tyler Fitzgerald, Landon Roop, Hayden Birdsong, and others? Asked that question, Zaidi did not make a rhetorical defense or seek to argue that the farm system has made enough progress to offset disappointment with the results at the big league level. But he acknowledged that he knew from the start that he wasn't signing up to orchestrate a full rebuilding effort. You look at our last couple off seasons, we've been very active in free agency, and while maybe that's created some excitement, I do think it's kind of blocked some opportunities for these prospects to sort of get over the hump, Zaidi said.
Think?
Right?
Idiot. Sorry. I couldn't help that. Oh my God. I'm so glad. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
This has not been a typical rebuild. We've tried to compete every year, so it's not just going to be a teardown with 3 top draft picks. It's taken longer, but I think with the players we have, we're kind of on the other side of that, where we have a different nucleus now. Now we have the ability.
Stop right there for a sec. Right there for a sec. I want to comment on this. Just the thought occurred to me about this typical rebuild. Maybe this is not as much Farhan's fault as it is the owners, because they didn't give him an option to go for it all the way with a huge payroll like $300 million, and they didn't let him rebuild and tear it down. And he was kind of stuck in the middle with trying to play a competitive, and it's the worst thing they could have done.
Right. They stayed in the middle, like we were talking about.
They stayed in the middle, and it's the absolute worst thing they could have done. And I mean, I still hate what Farhan's done with all these up and down roster moves. It was ultimately his call to send the youngsters down, up and down, and all these guys. So in that aspect, he's driven me crazy. But you wonder if he would have been given an actual, like, hey, do what you need to do to make this organization right. We're just going to give you full reign. And maybe they did, and maybe this was his plan. But whatever, this plan was awful. They needed to just tear it down, strip it to the bare bones, and really needed to do that back in 17, 18, but they didn't. Look what the Cubs kind of did, and they started rebuilding. You look at other teams that are rebuilding, like the Nationals. Tampa Bay seems off year this year, but they've competed. I don't know.
He lost me in the first paragraph. He lost me when he said, well, we're not going to sign a first baseman because we're not going to block Bryce Elters. Man, that's all you effing do since you've been here is block young players. So please miss me with that.
Yeah. All right. You were now.
Where was I at?
Now, now we have the ability to put a really young team out there and be more targeted in free agency rather than feeling like we've got to go sign 5 or 6 players. But you just said last week you're going to go with more you need more veterans. Didn't he say that last week, Bora?
Yep,
he absolutely did.
He said we need more veterans. Now he's saying we have the ability to put a really young team. See, this guy just
he contradicts himself every time he speaks. Every time he speaks.
He's a walking hypocrite.
My goodness gracious. All right. Go ahead, Bora.
Zaidi, who said his health has improved after being hospitalized at the end of August, declined to speculate whether he will be retained after the season. When asked if ownership continues to have the same amount of faith in his vision for the franchise, he acknowledged that it's been an ongoing process for him to mesh his methods with some of the cultural expectations that might be more pronounced among Giants fans. But he did not describe a fractured relationship with ownership, saying he and the board very much sync up in the vision of the team we want, which is a younger team. We want a more athletic team. How many times has he said we want a more athletic team?
Yeah, for the last 2 years. Why didn't he get one?
Right? I mean, come on. And Tyro Estrada's pretty athletic. You got rid of him.
Yeah, and Fitzgerald, you never played him until you had to, and he was you
sent Fitzgerald down because he got picked off.
Yeah, we were the ones that told you he was athletic.
Ramos is athletic. You didn't even give him a shot in spring training.
Right. That line is so bad. Like, we want a more athletic team.
They just need to move off of him.
Consistency.
Then do it.
If if they bring him back, like that will be so depressing for so much of the fan base. Like this fan base needs to feel reinvigorated, and firing him will be a huge start.
It'll be
huge start. You'll see some excitement from fans that have left the team and will start coming back just for that alone, to know that he's gone and that maybe they'll get somebody in here that knows what they're doing. That's a baseball.
You know what they ought to do? They just finish the article. And I'll tell you what they need to do.
Okay. I think we've evolved in my views of things, and some of that has to do with the culture around the Giants organization and the fan base, and things our fans want, and things that this organization has done when it's been most successful, which might not have been how I was successful earlier in my career. Zaidi said, "Yeah, you weren't successful. It was Andrew Friedman who's been successful."
Right.
And so we've talked about it. I think there's been meetings over the minds over time. Zaidi pointed out that the Detroit Tigers under former Giants GM Scott Harris have thrust their way into contention largely because of how they've deployed their young pitching this season.
Boom.
There will always be room for teams to consider and employ non-traditional strategies when they are demonstrated to lead to success.
No, that actually is traditional, is banking on young players. It's
Exactly.
not non-traditional. That is traditional. Continue.
But I think it's my responsibility, and as an organization, we have to figure out our identity and not feel like just because the strategy is successful, it's the right thing for us. It's been 6 years and you still haven't found an identity.
So I think that's go ahead.
So I think that's been a bit of a learning process for me. And again, I think we've had a lot of discussions about that and are pretty well aligned. Here's how Zaidi addressed a few other topics. On Blake Snell, he's going to go into free agency the same way he did last offseason. He wants to keep an open mind. I think we'll be pretty high on his list, but we're respecting the fact that he's going to want to play out free agency. I expect us to be a part of that, but it should be very competitive with the way he's pitched. Maybe we have a seat at the table, but it's going to be a big table. First of all, wait, go back to that. As someone as a GM, as a president of baseball operations, this last sentence, I expect us to be a part of that, but it should be very competitive with the way he's pitched. Maybe we have a seat at the table, but it's going to be a big table. You inspire no confidence with those two sentences. Maybe we have a seat at the table, but it's going to be a big table. You know what? Just say we want him back or we don't want him back. We want him back.
Well, what he's saying, if you read between the lines, Bora, if he's coming back, he's not going to pursue him as hard.
No. Mm-mm.
That's what
on Bryce Eldridge. Once a guy's in AA, AAA, they're in the picture. I think it behooves us to have a roster that's flexible enough that if he's ready next year, even earlier in the year, there's a spot for him. So that's going to be really important for us. I don't anticipate us really locking up first base and DH spot. On Mike Yastrzemski, I have a soft spot for Yaz. I think he's really.
You got more than a soft spot for Yaz.
You got a man crush on him.
He might have a hard spot for. Have a hard spot for
I don't want to say it because it's very pornographic, but go ahead.
I think he's a really underappreciated player, total pro, and he does everything well. So I'm personally a big fan of his. Yeah, we know that, and I think he can play a big role on a really good team.
Yeah, your team's not really good. So
so he's not going to play a big role on your team.
On Lamont Wade Jr., I think the challenge with him continues to be going to wire to wire from a health standpoint. He has ability. It's maybe not the typical profile at first base, but I think he has a lot of value. So again, I think he's another guy who fits in as an important piece on a good team, and it's just about having the right players around him. Okay, wait. He just said that. I think he's another guy who fits in as an important piece on a good team. It's just about having the right players around him. He's saying Lamont Wade Jr. is a role player. Lamont Wade Jr. is not your starting first baseman.
But they made him that, and if he becomes a role player, he'll stay more healthy because he's not going to play all the time.
Mm-hmm.
He can play a big role.
He's not an everyday player.
He's saying Yaz can play a big role on a really good team. So he's saying
he said really good team with him,
and he said
just
good
team with Lamont Wade. I mean, we're being picky here on that one, but still,
yeah.
The premise is that he absolutely loves Yaz.
Well, why didn't you trade him to Boston? Or you could have traded him to Baltimore too.
Mm-hmm.
Baltimore could. I mean, you think they would have rather had Yaz or Slater?
I don't think it's a question.
Gosh.
On Tyro Estrada, he's been a total pro, and even being down Sacramento this past month, I've watched a lot of their games, and he's been great. He's played with energy. He's played with a smile on his face, tough circumstance. He struggled this year. There's no doubt about that. I think he's got a chance to bounce back and be the guy he did in the past, but we're starting to look at some of these other options between Marco and Casey Schmidt and Fitzgerald. So there's no mention of Brett Wisely and Donovan Walton there.
No, I think,
why are they playing?
Right?
Yeah, why are they playing now in meaningless games? This is the time you play Casey.
There's a chance that Casey may be the second baseman next year.
Or the shortstop. I would prefer him at shortstop.
Or the shortstop. And I like him more at short because you just can't waste that arm at second base. He's got a cannon of an arm.
Exactly.
We were open to letting him go if someone was willing to bring him straight to the big leagues, and that didn't happen at that point. We just thought it made sense to happen in our organization, so we did try to make some accommodations there. I understand it's not the way he would want his Giants career to end, and it's just a tough situation. On Marco Luciano, there's a lot of factors that go into how he's gotten to this point. Some are just the very typical challenges of development of a young player getting to the big leagues and getting over the hump in the big leagues. Some of the things like he missed the COVID year and the fact that he was an international signee and had to go on the 40-man roster last year. That sort of accelerates timeframes in a way. He's still a very young player from both an age standpoint and experience standpoint. If we were talking through some of these positional changes from short to second and thinking about the outfield and he was in Double-A or something like that, it wouldn't be on the radar. But because he's on the 40-man roster, because we've seen him up here, it's a much bigger story and understandably so. No, it's not just that he's on the 40-man roster and because we've seen him up here.
He's their number one prospect.
He's the number one prospect.
Wow.
We've met a lot with Marco. He's in a really good headspace. I think he understands where he is in his career and needs to get better at. Despite some of the reports, there isn't really a lot of disagreement on where he is in his development. I don't think anybody feels like he's a turnkey major league infielder. He's going to start working on some outfield stuff at Papago Giants minor league complex this week, and we'll see where it goes from there. We're going to have an opening at second base next year. We don't want to totally close that off, but we've told him if he wants that job, he's got to come to spring training and be able to demonstrate that he can play an average or plus second base at a big league level. It's kind of up to him in terms of the offseason and what he does with it.
Did you hear that? He's going to have an opening at second base. They're basically saying Tyro's gone, or he can maybe earn it as a non-roster player. But
yeah.
Okay.
We asked him, "How do you view yourself?" He said, "I'm a shortstop. I think I can be a good shortstop, and I don't think
I like that. I like that in a kid.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's how he thinks. When you're talking about developing a player, their belief in themselves and how they identify has got to be a part of that. And that's part of the hesitance that take him away from that. The bat is not a finished product. We've seen some things in terms of being able to get the ball in the air, being able to pull the ball, for him to have the offensive profile that we're dreaming of. Yet he still has some steps to take." I would agree with that.
Yeah. The one thing that I would do, as far as you talked about Los getting the fans excited.
Yeah.
My plan was to bring back Sabian and Coletti on a 2-year deal and bring back for entertainment to the ballpark let's go full reunited with Peaches and Herb.
Reunited, and it feels so good.
There we go. Boris going, who are they?
I have no clue.
70s group.
Okay. We got one more article. Should we bring someone from the chat to read it?
No.
We've got one more article on Moneyball, guys. Moneyball. And got to pull it up. Here.
The laughable thing that he said in the Marco Luciano wording was he's in a good headspace.
Yeah.
And if he was liar and Jim Carrey and he was forced to tell the truth, Marco Luciano would curse him out in Spanish for a good 5 minutes.
Is Chardall in the house?
No, Dan, don't even
Have
entertain
start
that.
all read?
No, we'll be here till 2 a.m.
I know.
Well, I won't.
Okay. Here we go. Moneyball. Oh,
Is
man.
it a long article like that last
I haven't
one?
read it yet. This is let's see.
Uh,
No, not as long as the other one.
Where's the Cliff Notes version?
Let's see. I haven't read this article yet. So
Does Bora know what Cliff Notes are, Dan?
I don't
No,
know
I
if he
don't.
does.
Cliff Notes are not around anymore. Oh man,
What are Cliff Notes?
Cliff Notes were a little yellow booklet, maybe 6 or 8 pages. So, like, let's say your teacher gave you a book report to read and then write a report about a story. So instead of reading the whole book, you would read Cliff Notes, which was like 6 or 8 pages, and it would at least give you a B in the grade. It was great, Dan. It was great, man.
Yep, loved it. I loved it, man.
I'm sorry.
How many book reports did I do growing up that I never read the book? It was great, man. Just
Loved it.
yeah.
Do you want me to
so-
read this one too?
I'll split it with you.
Okay. You go first.
All right. So this is from, here's the title. Did Moneyball ruin baseball? Why author Michael Lewis agrees it hurt the game by Susan Slusser. And there's the Moneyball guy right there. There they are at the table. Wow. All we need is Farhan. Is Farhan in the background somewhere? Okay, here we go.
Before you read that article, let me just say this about Moneyball and the A's that kind of first incorporated that. There have been many, 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 many World Series champions. And at the end of the day, that's ultimately the ultimate goal is to win a World Series. But there's been nobody to ever win 20 games in a row. Ever. That is something that I don't know if is ever going to be done again. And I'm not advocating for Moneyball, but I'm just saying, like, 20 games in a row, man, that's one hell of a run.
Yeah, that was an exciting run.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. Michael Lewis gets 2 different responses when it comes to his book about the Oakland A's executive Billy Beane, Moneyball, including accusations that he changed the sport for the worse, hastening the rise of analytics. Oh, yeah, people tell me I ruin baseball all the time, Lewis said, but mostly the response to the book is, oh, I read your book and I'm moneyballing government or moneyballing the hospital system or whatever it is. Most people just took it as a metaphor for the broader sweep of change and the insinuation of data and analytics all into kinds of places where they hadn't been before. More than 20 years after the book was published and more than a decade after the movie with Brad Pitt portraying Beane was released, and with the A's poised to leave Oakland after Thursday's final home game, Moneyball remains a slippery and occasionally controversial topic. Among those who believe it has been bad for baseball, Michael Lewis. I think that's true, he said. It turns out that the smart way to play baseball is boring. Don't steal bases. Don't swing at bad pitches. Position fielders so the ball is hit right to them. It does make what is already a pretty sedentary sport less kinetic. They are kind of addressing it now, making the bases bigger, not letting people shift. The problem is that it's already a slow sport in an age that doesn't like slow sports. And if you're going to do it smart, you make it slower. It's much less fun. Hey, this is great. It's much less fun having geeks from MIT running the baseball team than it was having a colorful tobacco chewing former players you knew. My son-in-law's an MIT grad. He's a brilliant mind. And it would be hilarious to see him run a baseball team because I don't think he knows anything about baseball. This is what they are. These guys come in and they figure out how to do things. Oh, my goodness. Yeah, it's much less fun when the manager is clearly less important, more like a middle manager. The way reason permeated the front offices has bled onto the field, and the players are more reasonable, more rational, and not likely to go off half-cocked. Could you imagine if animated reliever Al Hrabosky rolled into baseball now? It would be fun to watch, but it would be just like, oh, that's weird. That's not optimal. I kind of agree that moneyballing baseball made it more boring.
Yep.
Okay, go ahead, Bor. You can take it from Jeff Berry.
Jeff Berry, a recently retired agent who represented former Giants catcher Buster Posey, among others, is known to rail against Moneyball and its impact as a regular guest on Buster Olney's ESPN podcast. Moneyball, the efficiency model, the slash.
Oh,
money model.
wait, stop. 1 sec. Jeff, recently agent of Buster. Farhan's gone.
Mm-hmm.
Farhan's gone. If his agent hates. Okay, that's pretty funny.
Moneyball, the efficiency model, the slash money model. I think it's a failed ideology, Barry said. To me, the proof is in the decline of it in attendance of those that followed, the attraction of the popularity of the sport. The efficiency mindset was not good for the game. Fans point to the increase in analytics-driven platooning and roster churn, trying to find value on the margins, for wanting interest, complaining that the game is now more about numbers than people. Many prefer set lineups and rotations so they can root for the everyday players and invest in jerseys without fear their favorites will be victim of metrics. Lewis, who is attending Thursday's finale at the Coliseum, has long argued that though his book may have accelerated analytics ascension, it would have happened at some point as teams started paying attention to Bean's work in Oakland, with the Boston Red Sox under owner John Henry already leaning that way. Barry believes that Bean was the real key to metrics taking off, though. I think the reason Moneyball became such an incredible movement was at the center of it was Billy Bean. And Billy is one of the coolest people I've ever met, Barry said. He's a huge physical presence. He's articulate. He's good-looking, smart, funny, and he takes over any room that he's in. It was kind of a perfect storm. You had a world-class writer, a world-class movie star playing the coolest dude in baseball, and you look around and people say, oh, we're going to replicate that. The thing is, you can't replicate Billy Bean. And there were some false narratives because the moves that Billy weren't what drove that A's team. What drove them was the scouting department, Eric Kubota and the international guys. It wound up grossly inflating the value and salaries of front offices, and it marginalized the value of managers, players, and scouts.
Oh, wow. Think about that. Yeah, the Pobos and the GMs and the geeks became more important than the managers.
I'm going to love this next paragraph that Bora reads.
Barry pointed out that when the Giants won the World Series titles in 2010, 2012, and 2014, they had one of the best scouting departments, development departments, and front offices in the game. But not one person was hired from that organization because they were not efficient in doing it.
Stop 1 second. Right. Stop 1 second right there. This is why I want Coletti and Sabian back. 2-year contract. They would, again, hire the best scouts, the best player development. They would have all of that brought in. They could train the person, give them 2 years, and then they seamlessly transition the organization. You bring back champions, guys that have done it, and then you talk about getting fans excited. Would people not get excited if Sabian and Coletti came back and said, we're going to turn this thing around and we're going to do it?
People would be ecstatic.
Oh my gosh.
Fan base would be so juiced.
And it's not about the next whoever the next GM is, president of baseball operations, however you want to say it. It's not just about them. It's about the people, the scouts, whoever that they bring in. Exactly.
Yeah, you want to bring somebody in that people recognize. Nobody knew who Farhan was.
And respect.
Yeah, exactly. God.
Barry pointed out that when where was I? When John Henry talked to Billy, he said, Billy, congratulations. You run the cheapest operation in the sport. Because of that, I'm now going to make you the highest paid executive in the history of sports. Tampa Bay has been built on that. Go ahead, Logan.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Go ahead. I was going to say, what's interesting about that line is that, as we all know, for those of us that watched the movie, at the end of Moneyball, Billy goes for an interview with the Red Sox. And he was offered to be the highest paid GM in all of sports. He turned it down, according to the movie. Now, what if he did take that position? And with the talent and the money that the Red Sox win, Billy Beane wins a World Series. Maybe he wins a couple because the Red Sox won a couple years later, didn't they? Did they not?
Yeah,
Their
they
first
won
World Series?
in
2004?
18.
Yeah. So maybe the whole narrative about Billy Beane and analytics changes if he goes to the Red Sox, and with that same philosophy, he actually wins a couple of World Series, because now the narrative is, well, what did analytics do? What did platooning do? It never won a World Series. So that story could have completely changed if he went to Boston.
Are we sure though that he would have stuck to his philosophy in Boston?
It's a good question.
Because I mean, it's not like, I mean, with Farhan, I think it's fairly obvious that wherever he goes, he wants to implement his system of platooning. But the real GMs and real guys who know how to run a team play to their market. I mean, if any one of us are the A's GM and general manager, and we're not given a bunch of money, we're gonna penny pinch. We're gonna look for guys on the margins who we can get the most out of players. But if we're the head of the baseball operations on the Red Sox or the Yankees or the Mets, we're gonna be given a lot of money to spend. So I don't think we're gonna be using 150 million when we could be using 300 million.
Yeah, good point.
Tampa Bay has been built on that. If you get coffee with Tampa Bay, you're qualified to be a GM somewhere. If you worked for Brian Sabean and the Giants and won 3 World Series in 5 years, you won't even get an interview.
And that's my boy. That's my boy that I told Dan about a couple of weeks ago, Carlos Rodriguez, assistant GM, has a lot of experience internationally with Tampa Bay. He's a sleeper. He's a sleeper for the Giants position.
That is so sad, though. Dan, scroll back up. Let me read that again. If you get coffee with Tampa Bay, you're qualified to be a GM somewhere. If you worked for Brian Sabean and the Giants and won 3 World Series in 5 years, you won't even get an interview.
Because of the geeks who are running the game.
What does that say about baseball? I mean, seriously, you won 3 World Series in 5 years, and you're not even going to get recognized? That's the ultimate goal.
Yes.
In sports is to win the big game.
It's seemingly not anymore. It's about who has the most profits.
Mm-hmm. The shifts in emphasis help prompt Barry's retirement this year at just 54. Among the things that rankled him, Josh Hader, a premier closer, had lost in an arbitration hearing, and then as a free agent, he didn't get an offer until spring training this year. All-star catcher JT Realmuto got 1 offer when he became a free agent in 2020. The problem, Barry said, is the emphasis is so much now on brilliant executives they can't prove they're savvy with slam dunk moves. It's not safe to sign Josh Hader, he said, because you can't show how smart you are to sign him. He had the highest strikeout rate in history, the lowest batting average against in history. It's embarrassing, is what it is. It's an efficiency mindset over a growth mindset. Former A's third baseman Josh Donaldson, traded to Toronto after the 2014 season, became the AL MVP with the Blue Jays in 2015. He said he and the Oakland team certainly understood what Moneyball meant for them. It was a great opportunity to be in an organization where you could say, look, there's going to be a time when my name gets called, because we weren't going out and getting a top-tier free agent that they were going to plug in every day, right? Donaldson said. But as a big league player, once you established yourself, you knew that you were playing out of your way of Oakland at some point. When Lewis's book was released, the first backlash centered around the idea that Lewis had given the bigger, wealthier clubs the secrets, reducing opportunities for finding undervalued assets. Nevertheless, the A's, and especially the Tampa Bay, continued to use analytics and out-of-the-box thinking to routinely fare better than big-budget franchises.
You want me to cover the rest for you? You need a break?
I can do it.
Okay.
Andrew Friedman, who established himself as one of the top minds in the game by using analytics to make Tampa Bay a regular contender, now runs the Los Angeles Dodgers. The combination of money and Moneyball has turned Los Angeles into a dominated team. That's the point I was making about Billy Beane and the Red Sox. Andrew Friedman was on Tampa Bay, and he used analytics and Moneyball because he wasn't given much money. Now he goes to the Dodgers, and he's given money, so he utilizes the money he's used. He's given. That's an excellent GM. When Friedman went to LA, he said, Bean called him and said, it's going to be fascinating to see how much you can take from what you did with the Raves and apply it in a large market. And it's scary.
Hey, you know
Moneyball,
what? The Giants, why not go after Andrew Friedman and double his current salary? Because if he leaves, Ohtani becomes a free agent.
Ooh. That's in the contract?
Yeah, if Friedman's not there, he can leave. Yeah, that would be crazy.
Moneyball is a major reason Friedman is in the game in the first place, something that's true of several current top execs, including Giants president of baseball operations, Farhan Zaidi, who started his career working under Bean and then was Friedman's number 2 in LA. I was working in investment banking in New York, and on a Sunday, the insert in the New York Times Magazine had an excerpt from Moneyball, and I remember sitting there reading it, and my desire to get in the game was already incredibly strong, and I had sent out tons of letters, but all that did was fuel it even more, Friedman said. Thinking in terms of how to exploit market inefficiencies, knowing that payroll doesn't decide the standings, being nimble enough to pivot as things were changing, being bold enough to go against the grain, that isn't easy. But that's what we had to do in Tampa Bay to survive in the AL East. And Billy really blazed the trail in how he went about it. Brian Cashman of the New York Yankees is the lone executive to have been around since Bean took over the A's. His team now has about 10 analysts, a smaller group than some clubs. The Yankees also hired Sabian as a senior advisor. They're not all analytics all the time, but to the degree some teams might be. Cashman calls metrics one spoke in the wheel, but Cashman recognizes what Moneyball did. Billy was the spark of the entire sports industry, not just baseball, but the entire industry of sports recognized that analytics could make better, more efficient decision-making. They weren't just for Wall Street and hedge funds and boardrooms, Cashman said. You could apply more predictive measures and eradicate a lot of bad decision-making. It transformed an entire process in the world of sports, not just baseball. So what about the idea that Moneyball has had some detrimental effects? If you're disinterested in bettering yourself and putting yourself in a better position to make quality decisions, don't invent fire, right? Cashman said. Just stay in the caves. You're trying to compete at the highest level possible, and anybody arguing to not use your brain. Well, I can't wrap my head around that. You wouldn't want someone operating your investment portfolio that way. The game is constantly changing, constantly evolving, and that's true of any industry, any business. The idea that analytics takes the human element out of the game, emphasizing numbers over personalities and keen team continuity, is too simplistic, Friedman said. I don't think they're mutually exclusive, he said. I think there's a misperception around that. But I've definitely heard it. I don't think about it much. It feels like a lazy kind of first-level take. We didn't hear that much in Tampa Bay because there was enough novelty around it, but after mass adoption, these criticisms got louder. Sam Fuld, a former Stanford outfielder, played for both the Rays and the A's, and he absorbed as much as he could. He's now the general manager of the NL East champion Philadelphia Phillies. Being exposed to all of that as a player was a really neat experience, enormously helpful, Fuld said. I read the book when it was published, and it was pretty transformative for me. It sort of confirmed a lot of the things that I was thinking with the way that I looked at the game, and a year later, I was doing an internship with Stats Inc., after I finished my first minor league season with the Cubs. Moneyball was a big part of my life. Little did I know I'd be suiting up for the same team a decade later. I had great admiration for the way that they operated because of that book. One of Bean's main points in Moneyball is that he wanted to find a way to draft players based on something other than looking like a big leaguer, because he himself had fit that bill, a tall outfielder who looked very much that part. He was never a regular in the majors. He wanted, in essence, to avoid drafting himself. Fuld was the flip side, a smaller, lighter outfielder. He didn't look the part, so Moneyball helped him. More than anything, it was just this open-mindedness about looking at the game in a non-traditional way, in an objective way, and appreciating players for who they were as players and not necessarily what they did, what they looked like in a uniform, Fuld said. I resonated with that, and I knew I didn't catch anybody's eyes physically. It was just refreshing to learn about a club that had got the most out of their resources and made some really smart decisions, even if they were non-traditional and not universally accepted in the game. I don't think the game is ruined. I recognize it's a different version of the game today than it was 20 years ago, but I think there's a lot to be excited about. Sometimes different is good, and I can appreciate that not all changes in the game are universally loved, but I do think the general state of the game is in a really positive version.
Wow. Woo. Yeah, I mean, they're really you know what would be best for baseball this year to get rid of this Moneyball's crap? Yankees, Dodgers. Powerhouse guys,
Two
stars.
highest payrolls.
Soto, Judge against Ohtani, Betts, Freeman. Soto, Judge, and who's their other star? Stanton's not really a star anymore, but
Cole, maybe.
The ratings would be off the hook if they met.
That might start changing the tide. Like, hey, the two highest payrolls. We need to get back to high payrolls.
I didn't know Sam Fole was in charge of the Phillies.
Wow.
So that's interesting because he kind of played and kind of grew up and learned analytics and Moneyball, and he has a successful team in Philadelphia. But on the other hand, they don't platoon a lot in Philadelphia. So he may have learned that, but they have their set lineup more or less, and they have very good talent on that roster.
Did we lose Ryan in the chat? Was Ryan in here earlier? I saw Ryan Murdadian. Where is he? Ryan, you out there?
What I'll say about Moneyball is you can look at the analytics, and over a full season, over 162 game season, I mean, it's the same thing of flipping a coin, right? If you flip a coin 10 times, it could be heads 10 times and tails 0 times. But if you flip it enough times, it's going to get closer and closer to 50-50, right?
Yeah. Here's the comment of the night. Here's the best comment of the night. You ready? Analytics definitely don't have Bumgarner coming into the final game of the World Series to close it out. That was heroic. Bochy called that based on watching and knowing the player. No way that happens in today's game.
I agree with that 100%. And I'll even take that another step. When the Giants were playing the Angels in that World Series, who was Matt?
Hold on. I got to give Bubrad. Hold on. Let me see.
A clap.
Bubrad. Another great take by Bubrad. Okay.
There you go. Just for you, Bubrad. But no, let me take that to another level. When the Giants played the Angels in the World Series, you know who was Madison Bumgarner in 2002? Jason Schmidt. Jason Schmidt couldn't be hit that year. He was filthy, and he pitched a complete game, I believe shutout or gave up 1 run in Game 5. They had a day off, flew to Anaheim. You know what happened after that? Ortiz goes, 6-7 innings? They're up 5-0. You put Schmidt in, game is over. Why are you guys laughing when I'm serious?
Couple guys in the chat.
Whatever. But if
come up with a great take.
If Dusty Baker goes to Jason Schmidt, not Felix Rodriguez in the 7th, analytics, Todd Worrell in the 8th, analytics, Rob Nen in the 9th, analytics, because that's what you've done all year. By the way, Rob Nen had half an arm that year, but he went by the book like he's done it all year long. Instead of doing what Bochy did and put his most dominant pitcher to close the series out. In 2002, it was Jason Schmidt. And I was even calling for that. And people are like, well, he's a starter, Los. I go, no, he's a pitcher. I don't give a shit if he's a starter. Throw him and this series is over. They didn't.
Yep.
And they lost.
Another great take by Marcus Tanner. Analytics will never win a World Series. Snell removed from the World Series versus LA when he was dealing because of analytics. Great take, Marcus Tanner. Oops.
Brutal. Silence.
No, but what I was saying before, like you guys get the flip a coin thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you flip a coin 1,000 times, it's going to be closer to 50-50, right? That's
Yeah.
playing the odds, playing analytics. Baseball's 162 game season. You can play the analytics for the regular season and it'll most likely play out. But in the playoffs is such a limited time. You can't go with analytics in the playoffs because the playoffs are human element. That's when the biggest players step up, and you
Well, that's
can't
why that
measure.
manager, Tampa Bay, they'll never get a chance in the World Series again, probably.
Because he took out Blake Snell.
Do you know when? Amazing. Snell was pitching like we've seen him pitch this year, and the Dodgers have said that when Snell came out of the game, they go, "Oh my goodness, we have a chance. We now have a chance."
Yeah.
And
Stupid.
That was just dumb. Imagine if
Matt Williams did that against the Giants. I forgot who the pitcher was in Game 2. Man, the Giants couldn't hit him.
Was it Strasburg?
No, it wasn't Strasburg. It was.
Were you
Jordan.
in the NFC West Roundtable fan chat today?
I was in there. I'm 100% into football already, but
Brandon Crawford, that's BC, saw you there.
Yeah, I was in there. He chatted. I forgot what I said about that, but
Jordan Zimmerman
was dealing that game. Giants couldn't touch him. He had like 12, 13 strikeouts through 8 innings, something like that. He was nasty. I think he walked one guy, and Matt Williams took him out because he had to go analytics. He had to go to his closer. Mm-hmm. Panda with a big hit down the line, ties the game. Brandon Crawford wins in the 17th. Rest is history.
Hey, guys, we got a lot of people in the chat. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. We've got how many people watching right now? We got almost 150 between YouTube and X. I want to get those likes up, guys. Let's see where we're at with the likes right now on the live here.
Like and subscribe, please.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we've got I bet you, let's see, we got, okay, hold on. We got 32 likes, guys. 32 likes. Let's see. We should be able to get that up to 50 real quick. If you guys would just hit that like, man, we're bringing it to you tonight. A lot of entertainment right here on the NorCal Sports and Not Entertainment Network. We were bringing it to you. NorCal Sports. And Ryan Merdadian's in the house. And do we have something for Ryan? Let's see. Do we have anything for Ryan in the house? Yes, we do. We got a couple of super chats. The first one says, Denver Broncos suck. I'm sorry. That's not a super. And the next one, over under for the Denver Broncos at 5.5. Who's got under? Who's got over? That's the odds there for you Denver Bronco fans, all 2 of you in the chat. Oh, I think there's only 1 of you. Okay. Anyway, we move on and we digress. Let's get back to hit that like and subscribe, guys. We had 32 in there. Where are we at now? We're at 36. Okay. We need 14 more to hit the magic 50, guys. 36. See it right there? Come on. Let's get that chat going right there. You see my name there, huh? I could chat publicly. I could chat publicly on the show as Dan Cochimilio. All right.
36. Yeah, get that up.
37. 37. Do I hear 40? Go to 40 real quick. Come back. I'll come back. We do appreciate you liking the show. We wouldn't ask for you to hit the like if it did not help the show. It pushes the show out to more people. The more people that see it, the more views, the more likes, the more the channel grows. And then, we brought on a lot of good guests, but if we can get to 2,500, that's when we will seek out sponsors. We've been, you can get sponsors for under 25, but who wants to sponsor a show with 100, 200, 300, 400, 500 subs? I mean, you're just stealing somebody's money. You're not doing them any good. I refuse to do that. I mean, why would I go take a sponsor and ask him to pay me money when I've only got a few hundred subs? I mean, you're just robbing the guy's money. You might as well just ask for a donation. Don't expect any business from it. YouTube says the best thing to do is when you get to 2,500 is when you can seek subs and it makes it worth their while because then you got watching. So we would really like to get to 2,500 subs. Then we can get more funds coming into the channel. We got money coming in a little bit from YouTube and the ads, but I'd like to be able to get money to pay my guys that help me more. It would be nice to do that. So we'll wrap this up soon here. What do we got? We got some laughter here. We got.
I'm just thinking if this show was in the 1930s, I would be calling the Wizard of Oz to sponsor this show. Ignore that man behind the curtain. NorCal Sports Network, sponsored by the Wizard of Oz. Follow the yellow brick road. Oh my God.
I'm having fun behind the curtain tonight. Oh God.
That will never get old, man. That is so classic.
Willy Wonka, Kyle McCann. Yeah. It's the one-liners, man, that you come up with, Los, that crack me up at times. Just
entertainment, man. You can only talk Giants baseball for so long. You gotta laughter is the key to life.
That's right. I
believe most everybody in this chat works in some capacity, and some don't. And we have to keep it real. We have to laugh because laughter is such a good relief for stress.
Los, what's the one with the elevator?
Life. Which one?
The one with the elevator.
Elevator. You lost me.
I'll tell you after.
Okay.
I know. I know what you're talking about.
Put it in the. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, I did say that. That went right over both of your heads, man. We don't climb stairs on this channel. We take the elevators. These two guys were just like, they just went on like nothing, just right over their head. Come on.
Yep. NorCal Sports Network, where the entertainment is free. We don't even need the name in there. NorCal Sports Network. Okay. Guys, it was, we didn't even get to the football tonight. Do we want to do a top 10 something to close it out? Do we want to do our little game?
I just want to know before we do a top 10 real quick for football, Bora, do you have any class tomorrow that involves reading? Because if you do, man, hope you got enough energy to read tomorrow.
No, I don't. Which I'm
good.
Very
that was
glad
a lot
that
of reading for you today. You did very well.
Thank you.
Yeah, we could do a.
We did top 10 quarterbacks right now, current quarterbacks. Do we want to go top 10 wide receivers in the game?
You want to do current or you want to do all
current.
time? Current.
You want to do current or overtime? Current. Wait.
Running backs?
We can do wide receivers or running backs.
Are we talking just overall or fantasy purposes?
What about teams? We can
overall.
Do teams.
Yeah, I'd have to.
Teams? What do you mean, top 10 teams?
Yeah, top 10
teams.
Do
a top 5. Do a top 5. 5's fine.
Top 5 what?
Top 5
Los,
running backs in the game right now.
Where do you have Purdy?
Quarterback? Mm-hmm. I have him around 6 to 8.
Yeah.
I had him there, but I moved him up after Sunday's game.
I think people got to be careful about one thing. I know he didn't have some weapons, and that was the whole thing. But they were playing the Rams. Rams are not a very good defense.
Horrible.
The Rams didn't do what the 49ers' kryptonite is, which is press man and blitzing. When I see Purdy and Shanahan beat press man blitzing against a good defense, then he'll move up in my ranks. Until then, nope. He's at 6 or 8.
I have him at 7.
Yeah, I had him at 4.
All right. He played well. I mean, him and Jennings played their asses off.
Do you want to hear?
rest
Do you
of
want
the
to hear
team
Dan and I's top 10 quarterbacks list?
Go ahead.
All right, this is Dan's. Mahomes 1, Allen 2, Burrow 3, Purdy 4, Lamar 5, Stroud 6, Stafford 7, Herbert 8, 9 Love, Goff 10.
Based on this year, Joe Burrow is dropping.
Yeah, he is.
He's probably 8th or 9th right now. Maybe his wrist is not quite right. I don't know what's wrong with the Bengals.
Yeah, something's not right.
Josh Allen's playing lights out. Well, I tell you what, man, I brought this up a little while ago. The Chiefs got rid of Tyreek Hill, kept winning, got draft picks, kept younger talent still on the roster. The Bills got rid of Stephon Diggs, got draft picks, and are winning in 3-0 and look very good. So the moral of the story is maybe you don't keep paying everybody.
Yeah, just because they're due for their raise doesn't mean how are you gonna. You got Debo at like a 23 million, Ayuk at 30 million, Kittle like what 15 million. Trent's at
Two players that aren't going to be on the team next year, I think, are Debo and Hargrave. I don't think Hargrave's back at all. I don't think there's any % chance that he's back.
Every player the Niners have given big money to, with the exception of Fred Warner, correct me if I'm wrong, is regressed. Every single one of them. Their play has regressed. All the players that got paid, you guys know me on this channel. Buy low, sell high. Damn it, I'm going to keep saying it until I turn purple. Like, you can't keep paying people off career years. These professional athletes are hip to the system. Is it ironic that their best year, their career year, always is in their contract year? That is not a coincidence. They get the best shape. They're the most focused. Let me get the bag. And as soon as I get the bag, I'm not going to the gym as much as I did to get this bag. It is common sense.
Well, I'll tell you this. Warner got extended, right? At the end of Warner.
Oh, Fred, yeah.
Fred Warner got extended at the end of 2020. 2021, he had a down season. 2021, he was not that great. 2022, we know who he is now. Nick Bosa got extended. Last year, he had a down season. Debo got extended. The year after he got extended, he had a down season. Brandon Ayuk got extended. He's having a down season. The first year after these guys get extended, they have down seasons. And it's not a coincidence on the Niners. You know why? Because they extend these guys halfway into training camp so they don't get their reps.
That's a good point. Good point.
Yeah, they let him. He's just,
Trent Williams is, he does not look in shape. I mean, he got beat. I watched the All-22 film.
This has the potential. They have the potential to have just like a 2020 season, like they did.
Very much so. I think I had him at 10. I think I had him at 10-7 to start the year.
Yeah, I think I did. What did I have him? 13-4 or 12-5? I can't remember when you and I did the picks.
Yeah,
we'll see.
We'll see. I mean, I will say one thing about the Niners. They have had bad starts before. They are a second half team. For some reason, they play much better in November and December than they do September and October. But this year feels a little different, guys. You know what? The vibes and just everything is off right now.
Yep.
Yeah.
There's a lot going on, and a lot of it is negative. So I don't think we can just say, well, they always get off to a slow start. They'll turn it around. We can't base it on that. There's a lot of black clouds that are.
Yeah, it's going to be tough to do top 5 running backs, top 5. Well, let's try. Top 5.
Saquon Barkley definitely is in there.
Breece Hall's in there.
Are we counting CMC in or out?
No.
Okay. Not
I would say Jordan Mason's in there this year.
I don't know if I'm top 5. I know statistically he has most yards, and I love his game. But Derrick Henry looks pretty good, man. He was beasting on Dallas. He was throwing people off. He's still up there.
Did you hear Micah on his podcast yesterday?
Parsons? No.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. It was
that dude is all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
Is Jonathan Taylor top 5? It's a hell of a back. It's a proven track record.
All right. What about Kamara? Is he in top 5?
No.
Okay. All right. So I think
so definitely Barkley, Breece Hall are definitely in there.
I would put Derrick Henry in there.
Derrick Henry, I think, is
with Baltimore, he's having another good year. You know what? I mean, if we're just going to look on the eye test right now, I'm going to put Mason in the top 5.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
The guy's he's second in the league in rushing.
If we're going to put Mason, then we have to put the guy that's leading the league in rushing, which is J.K. Dobbins.
No, he's third.
Isn't he?
It's Barkley's lead. It's Barkley, Mason, Dobbins, Kamara, and Henry, top 5.
Yep. Okay. And it's Jacobs, Taylor, Lamar, Montgomery, Jones, and Stevenson.
Yeah.
If Jahmyr Gibbs of Detroit was given a lot of those carries instead of
Jahmyr Gibbs?
Jahmyr Gibbs, sorry. Jahmyr Gibbs, if he was given the majority of the carries, he would be a top 5 back because he's electric. And oh, by the way, Detroit is my pick for representing the NFC. What did they do with their running backs?
Split them.
They're going to be healthy at the end of the year. They're not running them touching
the ground.
Jordan Mason is on pace to go over 400 carries this year.
Let me just tell you something, guys. Who has the most carries in the NFL through 3 games? You want to know who it is?
Is it Jordan Mason?
Jordan Mason.
It's Jordan Mason.
Kyle doesn't learn, man.
67 carries. I mean,
he's not hard to criticize because he's consistently stubborn, man. Didn't learn. Jordan Mason has not run that much ever in his career. You keep running him like this, he's going to be hurt before the Chiefs game. I mean, I know Garendo is nothing special, but you have to relieve him because Mason runs physically. He doesn't go down. He runs through tackles and he gets hit 3 or 4 times. You're asking him to get hurt, man. You are. You have to have balance in your running game. You have.
Yeah. Read an article, by the way, on CMC going over to Germany.
I don't think he's playing this season.
I think he is. I think it's going to be in December, like I said. I think what he's getting done is he's getting some platelet-rich type plasma that is a little bit more in depth that they do here in the States.
Stem cells.
And they could be doing that. And it's going to allow for some healing and allow him. I think it's going to take 2 full months. I don't think you see him until probably week 13, 14. And as long as McCaffrey in week 13, 14, or even week 15 is, pre-tendonitis, McCaffrey, if he's like what we saw before the playoffs going into the playoffs, then fine. Let him be fresh for 5 games.
What if they're out of it by then?
Then I don't think he comes back.
Agreed.
I mean, are we sure it's tendonitis? Because, I mean, I don't know. I mean, Achilles tendonitis is it's not uncommon.
It's the Achilles tendon.
It's the tendon, yeah, but is the actual injury tendonitis? Because
that's what you get before you have a tear. You have little fibers, broken fibers in it, and it could lead to a rupture. And so what they're trying to do is get more blood flow in there, get more. It's a slow. It doesn't get a lot of blood flow, that tendon, and so they've got to get more blood flow in there so that he can do. It will grow, but it was said wear and tear is a factor. You're right, Mitchell and Ness. Wear and tear was what one of the doctors said, and that's one of the reasons that it was just idiotic last year to run CMC when the Niners were way up.
That was such a perfect combination of running backs he had last year. If he would have, I mean, you had the electric guy, the quick guy, the guy that could take it to the house, the guy that was great at catching the ball. And then you had a complete opposite physical guy. If he would have used both of them, defenses would have got worn down. It's like, oh, shit. oh shit, we got McCaffrey on this series and he's all over the place. We got to worry about him going out of the backfield. Oh, now here comes Mason. We put in lighter safeties and linebackers to cover McCaffrey. And oh shit, Mason's now in there coming at us at 235 pounds. Common sense, man. If he would have used both of them like Detroit used them, I swear the Niners win that Super Bowl.
You could have used them together, both of them in the backfield. You could have so much misdirection. I mean, last year,
so many things you could have done.
Everybody has said this, and it's going to keep on being true. Last year was the year to win it. It was last year. Everybody stayed healthy. You could see it. The vibes were high. Everybody stayed healthy, and they just couldn't get it done.
Let me ask you guys something. Honest question here. We all saw that they had to win it, and they, were the more talented team in many aspects. Offensively, no question. Defensively, it was pretty neutralized with some of the corners and the quickness and speed of KC and of course Chris Jones. But let me ask you this, I'm not an excuse maker. I don't like making excuses. I used to do it as a kid and, oh, the refs, they too many of this, that, the stuff you say when you're 9, 10 years old, 12. Oh, if the refs, oh, my uncle can beat your uncle up type stuff, oh, yeah, well, do you think there was it a level playing field that the NFL had for the Super Bowl, giving the Niners a soft, cushy field to practice on that, Niners kind of complained on, while the Chiefs got the Raiders facility? Niners, instead of on artificial turf, they put sod over artificial turf, which
that was crap. But the Chiefs got that because they were technically the home team, so
right.
They got to choose.
And then
but you can't tell me that there's not a second solid football field somewhere in Las Vegas, somewhere near there, because they were threatening to go back to Santa Clara.
I would have done it. I would have
too, because I really think that
I would have said,
that helped Greenlaw blow out his Achilles.
Yeah,
that's a good point. That's a good point.
I totally would have done it. I thought they were going to do it, and the Niners caved. I would have just said, no, this isn't up to the standards that we can play on. It's not anything like the field we're going to be playing on in the Super Bowl. So why should we be practicing on it?
Yeah, you can say that, but at the end of the day, that's just another excuse for why they didn't win.
It is. It's an excuse. My point is does the NFL really try? Again, you can call holding on any play, I'm convinced, if you want. It's such a subjective call. I was watching Sunday's game with Mark Graves at my house, and some of the calls that went against the Rams, they called like defensive holding. I'm like, what? He just barely touched him as he was making his route. He didn't push him, and they call a flag. And then other guys get mauled, and they don't call a flag. Like we saw the Sunday night game. Kansas City guy just not looking back at the quarterback, hugs the wide receiver as a tackle him as the ball's coming. No call. I
think there's definitely something to that, and it's not just against the Niners, but like Patrick Holmes is the face of the league, and that's why you can't keep a game close, because if a game is close, he's going to get the benefit of the call. The Chiefs have been in how many Super Bowls? 4 with Mahomes.
3-1.
And I don't think there's been one offensive holding call in 4 games, which is 16 quarters. They don't have a bunch of all-stars on that offensive line. 16 quarters of football and not one offensive holding call to set them
exactly.
back. Not one. That is beyond
what I'm
suspicion.
talking about. And I hate to bring it up because it does sound petty and like you're making excuses, but I see the Chiefs, like Philip says, they led the NFL in holding calls all year long by a wide margin. And then you see guys like, Bosa coming around the end and choked, and they don't call it. The play that they lost, the play to Tyreek Hill 4 years earlier, when Bosa was totally just taken down by their tackle. I can't remember his name now, but he ended up going to Cincinnati, I think. But
that's why I always say, if you keep a game close, then those calls are going to hurt you. I'll use a boxing analogy. Under Shanahan, at least in the playoffs, how many blowouts has Shanahan had with arguably the by far best talented roster in the league? I think he's had one blowout
in the playoffs.
Was the Packers, and then I think they beat Seattle in the oh, that was a close game.
At halftime,
the second half they pulled away. But the playoffs in general, Kyle and the Niners, despite having more talent than anybody, they don't run away from anybody. It's always a tight, close game. And when it's a tight, close game, Shanahan's butt cheeks tighten up, man, and he just does not make the plays.
Yeah, I don't understand with that much offensive firepower why, you saw it against the Jets where they scored in 8 of their 9 possessions. Their first possession punt, their final 8 possessions, either touchdowns or field goals. Why the 49ers? I mean, I know you have to execute and everything has to go right, but the 49ers, let's face it, if they get 10 possessions, they should score on 60% of their possessions.
The Niners should be averaging 30 points a game with the amount of offensive firepower they have.
No, they should be getting 4 touchdowns and 2 field goals a game. Serious. You get 10 possessions. With this new rules of getting the ball practically average field position.
We could talk about that for this horrible kickoff rule.
Oh, that is a joke. You got to send the kicker.
They're going to
go
back to
10
that.
Yard.
They're going to go back to the old one.
But sadly, guys, the 49ers have become very predictable on both offense and defense. Their offense is predictable. There's a reason Kyle's like 1-6 against the best defensive coordinators. They know what he likes to do, and a good defensive coordinator will take away what you like to do and force you to do something else. And Kyle can't adjust on those type of coaches and defensive coordinators.
Do you know
as far as the offense goes, the Niners cannot beat you deep, and teams know that. So if they blitz you, the Niners, the best they can do is pick up a first down. They're not going to beat you over the top. Beating you over the top with a big play is what backs you off of a blitz because you're giving up a 70, 80-yard touchdown passes. The Niners, the best they can do is, Jennings catches a ball, he's caught, first down. The Niners need to have drives, long, sustained drives to score touchdowns. They don't have big play potential. That's what separates them with the Chiefs, the Bills, and the other better teams in the league. Those other teams can, you're going to blitz me? Whoop, over the top, quick 7, touchdown.
Or
not a field goal, a touchdown. Touchdowns win Super Bowls.
Can I play somebody's YouTube that has highlights just on their YouTube channel?
I don't think so, no.
I don't think so.
Shoot, how can I play? What would I have to go to, like NFL.com or something to play it? Or
I don't know the rules. I just know that you can play stuff off Twitter.
Well, I wanted to play it, but I guess I can't. I wanted to make a point, and the point is this: when I played football, and I remember my coaches, and I remember, playing plays. When we did plays that worked, you know what we did? Plays that were successful. You know what we did, Los?
Yeah.
What do you think we did when we had a successful play?
Kept running it.
We run it again until they stopped it.
Exactly.
And what did Bill Walsh do what I wanted to pull up in the 81 NFC Championship final drive?
Kept running the ball.
How many sweeps did he give to Linville Elliott?
That's because Dallas was using 7 defensive backs, thinking the Niners were going to throw, and Landry was playing checkers and Walsh played chess. Oh, you want to play 7 defensive backs because you think we throw all the time? Let me counter you and run a bunch of sweeps. He even ran a reverse to Freddie Solomon on that last drive.
Yeah, but why does Kyle not? You get big. Just keep running the dang play until they stop it. I understand you got to play.
Let me ask both of you about Kyle. He has a few exotic plays. Remember the play in Seattle on Thursday night? He faked to the left, he faked to the right, and then he came over to middle for a tight end. Beautiful play.
Yeah.
Does Kyle ever run those plays in the fourth quarter of big games?
Nope.
Do you ever see anything like you go, wow, that was a great play? It's all vanilla, isn't it?
When's
Why?
the last time
Why?
you saw an end around to Deebo Samuel?
It's been a while.
I mean, that was the play in 2019. They ran that in the Super Bowl.
Chiefs
and it
couldn't
was
stop it.
Exactly.
And he went away from it.
Yep.
How about the touchdown pass Sunday where Purdy looked to the left, held the safety, and then Jennings just held his ground and then did his route and had wide open down the right seam. Beautiful play. Did we ever see it again?
Always in the first half.
First half, exactly.
What about the play in the
first quarter?
It's
always like I'm going to bring out my best plays in the first quarter because I'm going to go down. I'm going to get the lead.
What about Kyle's play calling against the Eagles?
What about week 17?
Did you see the Niners when they played the Eagles? Like they all wore black. They just had. I wish they would have that mentality in the.
Oh, they were ready. Yeah, they were so.
They were not going to just win that game against the Eagles. They were going to embarrass them and humiliate them. For some reason, when it gets to the playoffs and the Super Bowl, that killer instinct, that we're way better than you. F you. We're going to blow you out. We're going to knock you out in the third or fourth round. But no, in the playoffs, somehow it's like, well, we need to go to the scorecards. Let's play Oscar De La Hoya and just coast the last 4 rounds and hope we get a decision. Can't do that, man.
And I know
that's the difference.
I know a running play can not always get you 4 or 5 yards. Sometimes you're going to get stuffed for nothing.
Definitely.
But many times when you go to pass and there's nothing down the field, take the doggone check off to Mason or CMC and get your 4 or 5 yards. Do you know if you did 4 yards a play, you would just have a first down every 3 downs? You would get 12 yards, just 4 yards. And
it's always open.
It's always open. I don't understand that. I really don't. It's always open. Do not take the low risk, high reward pass. Take the sure thing that gets you 5 yards. Keep the chains moving. I hate it when it's 3rd and 5 and you got to check down in the back. Nobody's covering the back. The linebackers 12, 14 yards back. The guy rolls out. He's wide open. All you got to do is hit him. And if he catches it, he falls down. It's a first down. But sometimes Purdy will try to thread the needle with a guy with in between 2 defenders. Look, I get it taking those shots when it's, it's a better than 80% shot that he's going to catch it because he's open.
Mm-hmm.
But don't take that risk. Live to play another series. Just keep the team on the field, move the ball. I really think if the Niners worked this is what Montana was a master at. If you go back and look at games, Niners scored on more than half their drives. You get 10 drives a game. Niners should be able to score with that offense and the leg of Jake Moody. You're in his range once you get to the 40-yard line, okay? Your opponent's 40. You really only have to get about 3 first downs today to get in field goal range.
The difference between those teams is those teams have big playabilities. Rice would beat you deep. John Taylor would beat you deep. This team does not throw the Montana. Look, guys, Montana did not have a strong arm. Him and Purdy probably have equal arms, but for some reason, if you're going to play up and play your safeties up, we're going to beat you over the top. Montana,
and you know what? Jerry Rice was not a speed burner
not at all. Neither was Freddie Solomon, but they caught deep balls.
They caught deep balls, and the Niners always went deep. Every game. When's the last time the Niners actually went deep? The last time they had a deep down throw was Sunday where Ronnie Bell dropped it. That was about a 40-yard pass.
And even that was about a 30, 35-yard, but it wasn't. They did try a deep shot to Ayuk, but the guy their feet got tangled or something like that. But when I saw it, I was like, oh, wow, I'm not used to seeing
the last true shot play, not Hail Mary, but shot play down the field was Ayuk against the Bucks last year.
Down the sidelines.
Yep, exactly. And Los, you said it earlier. these defensive coordinators that give Kyle trouble, what do? They're blitzing, right?
Yep.
Where is the running back screen?
I've been asking for that for 2 years.
Where is it? He doesn't have that in his playbook for some reason. That is the perfect play to counter the blitz. It's the perfect play.
I asked Larry that on his show the other night, and he didn't answer it. Him or his son. Dan, did I not? I asked, where's the running back screen?
Yeah.
Let them. That's worked for 50, 60 years. Oh, you want to come in? Let you come in. Drop it right over the top with blockers out in front. Andy Reid did it in the last Super Bowl against the Niners on the fourth quarter.
I don't know where the screens are. I don't know where the screens are.
You know,
the play that I get tired of.
Kyle that.
The play that I get really tired of is the screen to the wide receiver.
Bubble screen.
Throw that out there, and every team knows it's coming.
Yep.
They send out several linebackers. The corners converge, and they break it up because
that's what I said. They're predictable on both sides of the ball.
Jeez.
Tell me if you're a Niner fan, are you tired of the other team beating you up top and tired of the other team blitzing and the 49ers don't do either? I'm tired of it. I'm so sick of other teams blitzing us and forcing us on crucial plays on third down.
You know
blitzing us. Even going back to Kaepernick against the Ravens in the Super Bowl, what they do when they were down there, the last two plays, they blitzed them, they forced them to throw errant. Game over.
Look,
they blitzed at crucial times. Our defensive philosophy is not to blitz, Dan. And this is before Sorensen. D'Amico didn't do it. Saleh didn't do it. I've seen one 49er coordinator blitz a lot in 40 years of watching 49er football. One. He blitzed all the time. You'll never guess who it is. Dan, take a guess. One defensive coordinator for the Niners. He blitzed a lot. In 40 years of watching Niner football, they've always been a four-man line and playback.
Who blitzed a lot? George Seifert. Didn't he?
What year?
Maybe early to mid 90s.
Okay, I wouldn't know.
Early to mid.
I'll just tell you, Pete Carroll.
Oh, Pete Carroll.
Pete Carroll blitzed the shit out of you, and I loved it. Quarterbacks were on their ass.
Well, here's the thing with the Niners. You have supposedly now you've got Mooney Ward, Diamondbacks Lenore, and Renardo Green. Is it Renardo or Ronaldo? Renardo Green. Three cover guys that are pretty good at one-on-one. You should be able to blitz with you got your cover corners, and you should be able to send even, either an extra linebacker or a safety blitz. Hufanga could play up in the box a little bit tighter, come charging in. But
all their safeties could play up in the box.
Yeah.
Their safeties are not fast.
They're not fast. So you need.
And feel free to put Curtis Robinson over Campbell at linebacker.
Yes. Please.
Can we have a young guy in there that could actually run a little and cover a little bit?
I have seen enough from Campbell.
Again, I keep hating to beat a dead horse, but Kyle loves veterans. He'd rather have a veteran that's smart and knows the system over a young guy with upside. Does that sound familiar? Does another organization not like young guys? Does Kyle work for the San Francisco Giants?
Or Golden State Warriors?
On the down low? Yeah. What is it, the Bay Area?
I know Bay Area does.
The Bay Area loves guys like me and Dan, and they hate Bora. That sucks. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
trust the young guys. Trust the talent.
Vic Fangio blitz with Willis and Bowman, he says. Yeah. I wish. Do you think they're going to get better or worse without Hargrave?
I think surprisingly they might get a little better. I like Kalia Davis and I like Evan Anderson. They're bigger bodies. They might.
Evan Anderson's supposed to be a real run stuffer.
Yeah, you need to stop the run before you stop the pass, because New England's got a good running back, and if the Niners don't shore that up, they're going to just play keep away. They're going to just run and pound it and throw some short passes, and that might be a closer game than people think.
Do you think they try and trade for a DJ Jones?
I
could
wish
see
they
that.
would.
I could see that. I mean,
wish
they
they would
haven't had
never
a
let him
real
go.
run stopper since DJ Jones.
I mean, that's what they need. I mean, the line that they got that was their best line was Bosa, Armstead, DJ Jones, and DeForest Buckner.
Yeah. Mitchell and Ness.
Did they play that line?
Fangio did not blitz that much.
What
He
year
had
was
his
it?
4 guys rushing.
19. Or was
Sure
it?
as hell made Joe Flacco look like he was Dan Marino in that Super Bowl.
The 19
Blitzing
line
19 was Bosa, Buckner, Armstead, and Ford.
Oh,
Right.
Ford, yeah. But Ford didn't play in a lot of games.
No,
Who was
it was
When you have
Ronald
4 guys
Blair.
that can rush, when
Okay.
you have 4 guys that can rush the passer, then you don't need to blitz.
Mhm.
But when you don't, you need to mix it up. That's why Brian Flores and Spags are so damn good, because they're not predictable. You don't know what they're doing on defense. I don't know if the linebacker's coming. I don't know if the safety's coming. I don't know if they're dropping it back.
And why are
Common sense in sports? If you don't know what the other team, hey, if I can tell you, hey man, hitter, I'm throwing a fastball. If you know what's coming, better chance than you will succeed. If you
Look
know
at
the basketball
2017
player
Astros.
is not going to go to the basket and is going to
Yeah.
take a 3-pointer every time, I'm going to
2017
jump out on you.
Astros?
What's that? Oh yeah, exactly. Common sense.
Hey.
So the 49ers defense is predictable.
Why are
They know what they're going to do.
I
every
know you
single
went
time.
after Belichick in the offseason to try to become your defensive coordinator. But was there not a better choice than Sorensen out there? I mean, couldn't you have gone after?
Oh God, anybody would have been. I don't need Jeff Spicoli as my defensive coordinator.
I mean, there was. Oh gosh, I mean,
You know who they should have hired a couple years ago, or no, was it last year instead of Steve Wilkes? Jim Schwartz of the Browns.
Jim Schwartz was available.
But
Yeah,
Kyle and Jim Schwartz don't get along because there's some issues there. I mean,
Oh, we have to have buddies on our team. Remember,
Exactly.
like Bob Melvin and Chapman. Like we have to get along.
who was the better coordinator? Do you think Saleh or
D'Amico. I'd say
Which-
D'Amico.
Who do you think?
I say D'Amico slightly. It's close.
Both were great.
D'Amico's the
But-
better head coach.
But here's the thing, guys.
Yeah.
It seems like it doesn't matter who the defensive coordinator is. The 49ers have and Bosa said this last year when Wilkes started blitzing a little bit. Hey, we don't do that around here. We just rush 4 men and drop everybody back in zone. The 49ers have a philosophy, and they're very stubborn to come off of their philosophy. So it doesn't matter. Can you imagine if they did hire Spagnuolo and they told Spags, hey, man, we just rush 4 and play zone, cover 3, cover 4 all the time. Spags would say, F you, man. You guys have not won a Super Bowl. I have. Let me run the defense I want to run, which is you don't know what's coming. Those are the best defensive coordinators.
Oh yeah, the best
Niners are
defenses.
too
Look,
damn predictable.
look at all the top defenses that won Super Bowls. The Bears, the Ravens, the Giants, the New York Giants. Heck, the Niners had great defenses when they won Super Bowls. Everybody talked about the offense, but the defense was unbelievable. I mean, the defensive backs. You had Lott and
I'll leave you with one more story before we cut out here because it's getting a little bit late here.
Yeah.
1997, 49ers had the best defense in football. They played the Packers in the NFC Championship game. I was at that game.
yeah.
They lost 13-3. They were very predictable. They did what they did all year long, rush 4, no pressure on Favre. The only reason it was a low-scoring game is it was raining. It was cold and windy. It was an ugly day. They play the Broncos 2 weeks later in the Super Bowl. Broncos had about the 19th ranked defense in the league. Green Bay was an 11-point favorite. But their head coach, guy by the name of Mike Shanahan, and his defensive coordinator said, you know what? We're going to do something different because they're not expecting us to blitz. They blitzed Favre all game long. Now, he beat them for a couple of plays, but they also got 3 turnovers on those blitzes because they did something that they didn't expect. And in football, I don't care how good a team you have. If you run a scheme for one game that catches somebody off guard, that could be the difference between losing and winning the game. And that's what's happened to the Niners multiple times. They are the least prepared team out of the two. Andy Reid always is a step ahead of them.
Yep.
So is Spags. So is Brian Flores. All these great defensive coordinators are a step ahead. The Niners don't lose because of talent. They lose because of coaching. Sorry to say.
Well, with that, we thank you guys for joining us tonight. Tonight, talking about the articles we got. Giants are winning baseball, but who cares? It's football season. Guys, be here for NorCal Sports tomorrow night. We'll come back after the Giants. But you know what, guys? Unlike any of the other Giants talk shows that are out there, we'll mix it up with 49ers football every night going forward because it is football season. And tomorrow night we'll have our fantasy show. What time are we going to do that, guys?
You let us know.
We got the Giants game going on at 6:40. Do we want to do it right in the middle of the game or after the game? What do we want to do?
7:30 or 8 o'clock before the game ends.
Or we could do we could do a short post game, like a 15-30 minute post game. Then
we can do a 15. We can probably do a 15-minute post game and then do the fantasy. Why don't we do that? 9:15, 15 minutes. Giants baseball. Who cares? It's over. And then we'll be back with the fantasy football. Let's do a thumbnail tomorrow with the fantasy football show.
Yeah, let's get it out.
Get it out early, and then we'll just put real small, about 10% Giants post game, 90% fantasy football show. So tomorrow night, let's go. You know what? How about if we just go on at 9 and through the game if it's on or over or not? What do you think? Or you want to wait?
Whatever is best for you guys.
We'll figure it out. We'll talk about it later off the show. We'll see you guys sometime tomorrow night, 9:15. Fantasy football hour every Wednesday and a little Giants baseball coverage. Thanks for joining, guys. NorCal Sports Network. Like and subscribe. We'll see you tomorrow.